Hello. We're back.
We are back. We're back. Almost a full 2 weeks later.
Like a week ish.
It's
6 days.
Mm,
Oh, sorry, 6 days.
No.
We're supposed to be live. My
13
bad.
days.
yeah. My math
do
was
math.
so good the first time. Come on now.
My bad. I don't know how. I don't know what numbers are anymore, guys. Can't count.
The point is we're back. And I do think that
Almost all.
I just realized I was about to talk about something live, but I'm just going to go for it because I highly doubt y'all are going to disagree. I do think we're due for a spoilers episode after this one. It's what the people want.
I think so too. I think you guys definitely will be hearing from us. Sorry guys, Axel's meals today. You guys definitely will be hearing more from us. I know this is the finale episode, but we have some thoughts about where this is going for season 2.
Definitely.
I think a spoiler episode, we only get like a little bit at the end to talk about spoilers. I think we deserve a whole episode.
Yeah, we definitely do.
Correct. Speaking of, we want to know in the chat how y'all have been, how you feel now that House of the Dragon is ended for now, for the next at least year and a half. Season 2, I don't believe it was picked up for a second season until like right before the first season aired. So looks
it was,
like they
Go
ahead.
Oh, my bad. No, I was gonna say it was right after episode 1, because that was my episode 1 prediction that I got right. I was super excited about that. Sorry. But yeah, they're gonna start filming March of 2023. So
Well, looks like we have a long wait ahead of us. But I don't know. I'm okay with the wait because I prefer quality over just pumping. Yeah. But in the meantime, I'm sure we shall find ways to fill the void without
we'll try
getting
to keep
too phenomenally close to tearing it. Yeah. But anyway, should we get into
some
it?
super chats?
I was gonna say let's get to some of these super chats before we dive into the episode. So we have a super chat from Jessie. Thank you. Been looking forward to this breakdown. Thanks, Direwolf City. And we've been looking forward to bringing it to you guys too. I know it's been a couple days later, but Monday was a Monday, a lot going on, and you guys probably would have just been sitting here yourselves. But we're here. We are here. We're ready to break this episode down. I know we have a lot of thoughts that we've been talking about, so we're ready. Let's see. We have a super chat from Shane52911. Thank you. Hey, ladies. Obviously, they're going to start season 2 after Luke's death. But where do you think they should cut off season 2? And do y'all think there'll be skips? Love you guys. Ooh.
Queso and
I
Sangre,
don't
I think, would be a
believe
good spot.
where.
Queso and Sangre.
Oh, to leave it off? That's pretty early
Yeah.
on. Okay.
Wait, so when?
You don't think they can? No, I don't know.
Okay. I don't.
Ooh, you cut in on a second there.
I think we lost her.
Oh, poo.
I think that
Vicious.
Excuse our technical difficulties, everyone.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we're going to have any more time skips. I think any time skips that we do have is going to be like a matter of days just getting to plot points. I don't think we're going to have any more significant time skips. I think it's been confirmed. And I'm kind of glad. I enjoyed the time skips somewhat in the first season, because we just had so much time to get through and big lulls in between. And the events that happened in between the lulls were insignificant enough that they could be mentioned in passing to kind of catch you up without having to go through the motions of showing it to us. But going forward, everything is going to happen very rapid fire. And so there's not going to be a need for them, first of all, but there's also not going to be any room for a time skip going forward.
I agree because it seems like from what George and the other showrunners have said, it's be about 4 episodes to tell the dance. So George has said 4 seasons, 10 episodes long, at least to tell the story. Now that we're actually in the war, it lasts just about 2 years, maybe a little over 2 years. And figure if they're going to stretch that over 4 seasons, we're probably not going to get any significant time jumps after this.
Right.
But for the season 2 where they might leave off, I won't say too much because I don't want to spoil it for others that aren't ready for full spoilers yet. But just a quick allusion, I think we might end with some taking over a certain geographical area of advantage, and by that somebody I mean GrayArea. But
yeah, I agree. I'm excited to see Winterfell. I think we're going to have a cold open in episode 1 because we know that he's on his way there, so it's not really a spoiler because we know Rhaenyra sent him. But I'm so excited to see Winterfell. We haven't seen it in so long.
I know we're jumping a little ahead with this, but do you think since they mentioned he's supposed to be going to the Vale as well, that we will be seeing the Vale this season?
Probably not right away.
Briefly.
Probably not right away, but I think we will. I hope so.
I do too. I cannot wait for the Winterfell stuff. That's going to be fun for season.
Me either. Carrie just said, I can't wait for Cregan. Me either. Carrie. I'm so excited.
I think we're all excited for that. In the meantime, while we wait for Alisha to get back, let's answer a couple more of these super chats before we dive into the episode. We have another super chat from Sip, I believe IP. Is there a difference in claiming a dragon, Aegon, and I'm assuming bonding with the dragon like Rhaenyra, etc., and WTF happened with Daemon and Infirmity connection? So I guess for the first part, the difference with claiming a dragon versus bonding with a dragon. So Cyrax, from my understanding, along with Rhaenyra's other sons, their dragons would be considered like cradle-born dragons. So they had an egg that was placed in their cradle, which is a tradition with Targaryens. And once their eggs hatched, it kind of like formed like a automatic bond between the two. So claiming a dragon is usually when that dragon's had a previous rider, or maybe hasn't had a rider, but just hatched on its own, not in a cradle with somebody, so you have to essentially build a bond, as someone will see do maybe in season 2, season 3 when she shows up. That's too much of a spoiler there, but sometimes you might just
Yeah.
have to be brave like little Aemond and just go for it.
Yeah, I think there's not much difference in the long run when all is said and done, that bonding and claiming are the end result is the same, right? But having that bond, like you said, from the cradle would be different than not forcing the bond later with claiming the dragon, but encouraging the bond later. Like no matter what, you're going to bond with that dragon. You're melding into it. I consider it like warging almost. They share, so much with each other when that bond is connected. But the end result I don't think is any different from claiming the dragon later in life, as Aemon did, than it is with bonding from the cradle.
What did I miss?
We were just talking about this super chat here that's on screen. It's kind of just it. Question for you guys, or Alisha, what do you think went on? I know this happens a little later in the episode, but we can kind of touch on about Daemon and Vermithor. What do you think that was about?
I think he's kind of just checking. I think no one's really ridden Vermithor in what, 3-ish decades or so. So I think that he was just kind of A, checking in on things, and B, kind of reaccustoming him to people. I don't think he was necessarily trying to claim him as much as he was just trying to refamiliarize him with Targaryens or Dragon Keepers or whatever like that. That way, if they need to send someone to try to go claim him, they're less likely to get their crap burned off.
I agree. I think maybe he found something when he was reading those Valyrian rolls and pentos about maybe like those ancient spells that Valyrians were said to use to help kind of control the dragons. Not in the sense of bonding with Vermithor, because let's be honest, his little wormy neck good boy is the perfect match for Daemon. They're soulmates.
And I think he would get, hey, Axel. I think Axel has an owie.
No, he found a box of brownies that he wants me to make.
Oh, brownies. I thought he was saying owies.
I thought he sounded so distressed.
You give my baby a brownie right now.
He deserves.
Daemon was adorable in that scene. I loved him singing. And he reminded me of a beekeeper. He's just like going to check on his little dragons hanging out in their caves. Like, hi guys.
He really has
cute.
been. He really has been all about that dragon moth life.
Yes, it's been adorable. He's out there like digging for eggs, like a little archaeologist, and singing to his dragons. It's freaking adorable. I love Daemon.
That did seem really out of character for Daemon when he came out of the dragon mont, and he's like, "There are 3 eggs. There are 3
He's just
eggs."
a dragon guy, and I love that for him. He has his little hobby, tinkering
Is he
around
like the Steve
Viserys with
Irwin
his
of
model.
Dragon Keepers?
I think he's kind of like how Viserys has his models of Valyria. Daemon has dragons of Valyria. Like maybe if they just bond over their hobbies a little bit more.
They're both just effing nerds.
Yeah,
Daemon just tinkers around with his eggs, and Viserys builds his little models, and it's cute.
It is adorable. All right, let's move on a couple more super chats before we get into the episode. We have a super chat from Philip Almon. Welcome back, ladies. Team Black all day. I'm wondering what you guys think is going to be done with Sea Smoke. Do you think they're going to have Laenor fill spoilers character role?
So here's the part that confused me without going into spoilers. I was so sure that Sea Smoke would fly off over the Narrow Sea or across the Narrow Sea. But it kind of sounds like Sea Smoke stayed at Driftmark maybe not the entire time, but when they were going through the inventory of their dragons. I don't know why I said inventory. Going through the Rasta.
Inventory.
When they were going through the roster, they mentioned that Sea Smoke was still at high tide, Driftmark, whatever. That makes me wonder if Laenor just kind of died in battle in these last 6 years. If he's still around, I don't know, but it kind of seems like, judging by the way they listed Sea Smoke on their roster, Laenor is probably dead, so I don't think he's going to come back.
Yeah, I'm thinking he may have passed. I would love to have seen maybe like maybe Sir Carl sent like a raven or something to them, like that's super coded that Laenor's on with us, or personally what I would love to have seen is just like Sea Smoke just randomly like screaming, because and that be like for the audience our indicator that Laenor was gone.
I don't think that a dragon would ever, like, don't get me wrong, like yeah, like I don't think the dragons would ever really go too far from their rider.
That's a depressing thought, though, Ara. Thank you for sharing that with the class.
I'm so sorry, guys. But
so I'm thinking Laenor is gone if Sea Smoke is at Driftmark.
So that second half of that question, we'll leave off the name for our spoilers episode. And thank you, Philip, for also putting spoiler character for some of our
Yeah, I love that.
Red Fire and Blood.
Redacted.
Redacted. At first I was super excited about it after that episode had aired, but thinking about it a little further, I would rather it be somebody else, because then it'd be like, the ages would be a little off, and it's kind of like, I don't know.
But it does make me sad because I need more John McMillan in my life.
Yeah,
I love him so much.
I just made myself sad again, because what if it is him? Because that character doesn't come around until this is so spoilery.
But then he might as well come back around with one of those like fake mustachios with the glasses. It's a me.
It's a me. I'm going to say his name redacted.
We'll call him Gene Parmesan.
Gene Parmesan.
To all my people that watch Arrested Development, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay.
All right, let's move on to two more super chats, and let's dive into the. So we have another super chat from Miss Anonyma 23. Do you think the Hour of the Wolf will be condensed to one episode or more?
I would say 2 episodes. Like, I think that they're gonna do like a montage. I think they're gonna do a montage when he's redacted, and then I think more like the aftermath is gonna be an episode of its own.
Yeah, I think there will be a significant lead up in one episode, and then, like you said, an 80s style montage. And then
you were thinking the 80s too, because I don't know why, but for whatever reason, as I was saying it, I was like thinking of the song "Ain't Nobody Gonna Break My Stride."
Right?
Okay. I think that's more early 90s, but you know.
Yeah, but I think we'll probably get the 80s style montage, kind of how they did in Game of Thrones when Robert's bastards were being taken. You know, we didn't actually see anybody get killed, but we just saw like lots of babies getting ripped out of people's arms. I think we'll get a kind of like a montage like that, and then the next episode will be the fallout, aftermath, and the, have a nice day.
Yeah, well, it's been real.
I agree.
Walk in, F shit up, and leave.
Yeah.
That for him. So actually, I take C back. It's going to be 2 more super chats just because the one after this one I feel like is a good way to segue into the episode. Yeah. So our next super chat is from Ewan Farelli. Do you think we'll be seeing Racalio Rendoon in season 2? I wonder if he'll be a big character. Thanks for your content, guys.
So it's really hard to really touch down on this without spoilers, but I would say there's a good chance he'll either be at the end of season 2 or the very beginning of season 3.
I agree. If we don't get a cameo season 2, I think we'll get another reference, kind of like we did in this season when Laenor doesn't mention Racalio's name, but does essentially reference Racalio's character.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like, just based off of the reference he made, I think we might be getting our first actual book accurate Tyroshi on screen.
So I see some people in the chat really wanting spoilers. We will do a spoilers episode. We've actually gotten a lot of feedback, and we have quite a few viewers that watch our streams that don't want to be spoiled, that have not read the books, and appreciate when we do not spoil. We will put time aside at the end of the episode. We can talk about spoilers then for a few minutes, and then we will spend a whole episode on it. But until then, tough shit. I don't know what to tell y'all.
Yeah, as much as, we love to go, unload the spoiler clip, we, have to be cognizant not everybody's read Fire and Blood, and some people do genuinely want to be surprised. So as usual, we'll save like our spoiler. We'll give you guys forewarning before we get to spoilers at the end of this coverage, but we will have a stream full spoilers, full stream, no holds bar. I'm making this like sound like a wrestling match. Cage match of spoilers. I'm just kidding.
Do you remember The Undertaker? Okay.
Oh my god, I was gonna say, did you guys remember so off topic? I was gonna say, not even remember Rikishi, or I think I'm saying it right. He was just a sumo wrestler, and he used
The
to
dude that put his ass in people's faces.
Yeah, I used to have that.
Wow.
I was a weird child, but
all right.
Back to the topic. On topic, guys. So last super chat before we get into the episode, and from here we'll get back to super chats a little later. But from Fernando, thank you. Hello, ladies. So happy to be here. Also, thank you, George R.R. Martin and Ryan, for including Daeron, Tessarion, and Maelor. Now we have the whole fam together. And not sure if you guys caught this. We finally had a slight Daeron reference this episode.
Ever so slight.
Very, very slightly.
The tiniest of whispers.
If you literally were not listening or had captions on,
it was more like an Easter egg.
Right.
It was so small. It was a small.
This will shut them up.
So for those who have not read Fire and Blood, this is not a spoiler. Okay, so in the books, Alicent and Viserys have 4 children, a daughter, and 3 sons, and we've heard nothing about this 4th and youngest child, and we didn't think that he was going to be included, but it looks like in the intro when they're going through the family tree, he has a little knob. And when Daemon was going through the Green faction lineup of dragons that they had, one of the 4 dragons mentioned is going to be this 4th child of Alicent and Viserys. But it's not exactly retconning if he comes up out of nowhere, because Viserys didn't really show a lot of interest on screen in any of his kids with Alicent. And well, Alicent, I have opinions about her motherhood, but it's not exactly out of character for her to just not mention a child that would be off in Old Town this whole time.
Yeah, I know we've said it throughout the season, and when we get into like future coverage, we're gonna eventually do like a season review as well. So be on the lookout for that. I know I've been repeating myself here, and I sound like a broken record. I feel like they could have easily went in post production, did like I think it's an ADR, essentially like a digital recording where they just like slap it. Maybe somebody's looking off camera, but it's their voice, just mentioning Daeron, because as
just CGI him in there.
Yeah, or just like a little dot. Like they updated the official like website for the family tree. They just added him in finally. But my thing is just a quick little line could have been included at some point. Kind of like how Stannis was mentioned multiple times in season 1. We didn't see him until season 2. And I feel like that's what they should have did for Daeron at some point, rather than being the smallest blink and you miss it. Like they have 4 dragons. Like
I will interject. I'm going to interject to say that History of Westeros has been saying for a long time that they had been told that Daeron was going to be in season 2. So I think this has kind of been in the plans, and I kind of trust history of Westeros because they've gotten interviews with both George R.R. Martin himself and Ryan Condal, the showrunner of House of the Dragon. I don't know what they were thinking this entire time. I'm guessing maybe references to Daron are going to be in the bonus footage. I'm pretty sure that deleted scenes are going to be well over an hour long. Who knows?
He's our
Yeah,
very own child surprise.
he really is. Oh, the Witcher news that just came out. Okay, that's totally different content. Totally different content. Yeah. So I mean, they've also said it. George and Ryan have all both mentioned that Daron is going to be in season 2. I just think production really dropped the ball because I've asked a couple of my friends that are casual viewers if they had ever even heard of Daron, or like, oh, did you know there's a 4th child? They're all like, wait, what? So, and thinking those people are probably not the ones going to watch bonus content. So they're going to be like, oh, here's this other child that we never brought up ever, really, unless you were paying attention to that one line where Damon mentioned
I'm an accident.
Exactly. Like, it's going to be like Maelor. They definitely could slide on the Maelor. I'm not even that mad at sliding on Maelor because Maelor is so young. That's fine with me.
They never mentioned the
Oh,
twins by
Dragon Rider.
name, and
Yeah,
they're kind of just in one scene.
yeah, that's why I'm not too
She's
mad
like,
about
"There's a beast under the bowl." Okay.
But yeah, other than that, I'm just like, eh.
Yeah, I agree with Axel over there.
Yeah, he agrees. He's like, yeah. Maelor's okay, but the Daron, I think that's a whole Dragon Rider, guys. You guys could have just threw in a line at some point. But
Yeah.
anyways, with that being said, I think it's time we get into the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Did anybody else cry twice before we were like 10 minutes in?
Twice?
It was a rough opening.
That's very. I think the twice part was descriptive.
It was twice.
Okay.
It was sad.
All right.
I was sad.
I mean, very detailed. Did anybody else cry twice? Twice exactly?
Precisely twice.
It was okay. It was really, really. So I was talking to a casual viewer, coworker of mine. Every Monday morning, we talk about House of the Dragon while we're waiting on the babies to get off the bus. But he kind of mentioned that he knew that Luke was going to die because of the attention that he was given in a way throughout this episode. Right. And I mean, we knew because we're book readers, but it really, I think it was really well done, whether they made it obvious for casual viewers or not. Like, it was good too. And it wasn't so much like she didn't care about Jace and that she didn't have the same kind of moments or send off for Jace. It just focused on Luke. And I thought it really tied in with juxtaposed to the ending scene quite a bit.
Right. Well, and he is younger. So you could have taken away from it, being a casual viewer, you could have taken away from it that she was just concerned for him because he was younger and he needed more attention. And, you know, his brother's got all of this succession shit on top of him. And she wanted some time with, you know, the middle child, so he doesn't have middle child syndrome. It wasn't so over the top that you're like, oh God, something's going to happen. But it was enough that in retrospect, you're like, oh, yeah.
Well, to be fair to what he said he kind of had his suspicions throughout the episode. But what tipped him off was when the 3 dragons were flying off and it showed Luke and RX flying off on their own. And that's when he was like, oh, this kid's going to die.
Yeah. That moment was a little telling, but I think everything else, if you weren't like really, really like paying attention, because sometimes I just kind of zone out and watch the pretty colors on the screen, you know.
But except for watching Doom.
If you were actually like because then it's just sand. But if you were like actually paying attention, you could have been like, oh, that's kind of giving me a little bit of a sinking feeling. I'm not liking this, but I mean, obviously we did because we know it's coming, but. I think it was really well done. It wasn't too over the top. It wasn't too subtle. It was just a nice send-off.
I don't know why, but I loved that she gave him exactly 3 kisses on the forehead.
Yep.
It was kisses. Yep, 3 little paws.
Always 3.
for the little boy. But yeah,
Yes,
it's
I
like you
love
mentioned in a
you.
previous stream that we've done when we were talking about Alicent and Aemond, because I kind of had something to say then, and you were like, well, it's no different than when Diana just gave more attention to Harry because she knew it was going to be all about William
Right,
growing up.
Yep.
right.
Good point. You guys know I'm a sucker for
And if
Diana.
Damon has taught us anything, if Damon has taught us any single thing, it's that that second child really needs a lot more love.
Oh, agree. So in this scene, we have so we open up, we see Luke standing at the painted table. They're on Driftmark. I'm sorry. They're on Dragonstone. Luke's staring at Driftmark because they still haven't gotten word of if Corlys is going to make a full recovery. And he talks, he has this Jon Snow moment where he doesn't want to inherit because he don't want it. Which, to be fair to him, whoever comes after the sea snake, that is a lot to because he was the man.
Yeah, there's some really big shoes to fill.
Huge shoes to fill. So I understand him being like hesitant because not only that it's like all right, my father the sea snake, legend, icon that he is. Like I get seasick. I'm not even good at sailing, and how am I supposed to?
He's like, before we even leave the port, I'm blowing chunks, Mom.
Yeah, so like I get it. And then your mom's supposed to be, queen, so it's like my mom's queen, my brother is gonna obviously this is what they think. My brother's gonna inherit, the Iron Throne after my mother, and I'm supposed to follow like all these lines around me. How am I
I'm
supposed
just seasick.
And I'm seasick. Like, how am I supposed to live up to this? And I mean, spoiler alert, you don't have to worry about that much longer, Luke. But it's a lot to.
Arah,
She's such a bitch.
It's I have to her
the
because it makes
stress
me
is
sad.
short-lived, baby. It's okay.
Don't you worry.
Spoiler alert, you're going to be wiped out of existence anyway.
You're gonna be fine, honey.
Gotcha, couldn't help
Jesus.
anything. Oh my god, the poor baby. But I thought it was cute when he says Rhaenyra, he's like, but you're perfect. And it's like, she's like, oh, sweetheart, you did other episodes before this, did you? I'm not. But it's okay.
You haven't been paying attention.
But you know what though? The fact that a pubescent child thinks that his mother is perfect, she's been so good to him throughout the years.
Oh, absolutely.
And she's carried herself with absolute, like this whole episode, she's carried herself with grace and dignity. I know that the internet was kind of eating Emma Darcy up alive, being like, they think they ate with that scene about walking up to Otto Hightower and throwing the pen and calling him an effing traitor. And I'm like, actually, they did kind of eat, because the worst thing you can do, even though he has extras, he clearly has extras, the worst thing you can do is take off that pen and toss it, because if there's one thing Otto loves to do is caress his little hand of the king pen. So anyway, but no, like Rhaenyra really carries herself with a lot of grace and dignity, and I feel like the fact that he thought she was perfect, which not a whole lot of boys think that of their mom, not healthily anyway. Sorry, the word Oedipusy came to mind.
Mine too.
Sorry, just trying to get some of that Oedipusy.
Try to get a little Oedipusy. Sorry. No, I agree. And I have a 13-year-old, and he's 14 here. So I totally get, like, when you're a kid, you're, like you said, tween, prepubescent child is like, you're wonderful, you're perfect. Like, it's a moment. It's a moment, because normally they're just being teenagers. And so when they, like, as a parent, that you've done enough to make your child feel warmly about you, even when they're like just basically a bag of hormones wandering around, that you've done a good job.
Right.
As a good moment.
And I say this as I work with middle schoolers, predominantly 7th and 8th graders. So they are 12, 13, 14 years old. and I work in behavior intervention at that. I can tell you right now, even the ones that absolutely love their moms do not think their moms are perfect. In fact,
Right.
it's a mark of good motherhood when your child still loves you fiercely, but the words "she do too much" comes out of their mouths.
Why are you
Because-
quoting me, Alisha? I'm just kidding.
no, I have a particular scholar and I love it so much, but he's constantly talking about my mom do too much, da 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 da. But when she texts or calls him, she's in his phone with little heart emoticons. It says "Mamacita," and I'm just like,
Oh,
it's the
Yeah.
that's so
cutest.
cute.
But
That's
no,
so
I
cute.
don't hear any of my students referring to their mother as perfect. Usually
Yeah.
it's she does too much.
I mean, I think Luke would probably think his mom does too much, but in this moment, he's like, I love her because he's a little mama's boy. And it makes me so sad. This moment was so touching, but unfortunately, it's very short lived because that's when Sir Laurent Marbrand of the King's Guard in is like, well, Rhaenys is here and she wants to speak to you and Damon. And it's like, all right, question for you guys. Is it just me or did
This
Rhaenys
scene made
kind
me
of
cry,
not
yes.
drop this news?
Well, okay, so Dragonstone and King's Landing are not that far away from one another. She stopped off at I think it's like maybe not the same distance from King's Landing to Driftmark, from King's Landing to Dragonstone, but she definitely made a pit stop to Dragonstone for a legitimate reason, and it was just to give them that news. It was probably that same day that she flew the coup from King's Landing that she landed in Dragonstone.
I
I
would
think it
assume
is
so.
because she said 1 or 2 days, and she
Oh,
had
since he's
been locked in that tower. Yeah, right, since Viserys, sorry, excuse me. She said it had been 1 or 2 days since Viserys had died, and she had been locked in that tower overnight. So it would be the same day that she left. This would be like that evening.
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, the thing I was trying to say before Axel came up. Cameos, guys, cameos. Axel Easter eggs. Is it just me or did she kind of like I don't know if cousin died and I was bringing the news to his daughter and brother, who's also his son-in-law, Targaryen. I would just be like, "This is dead," but it gets worse. I'd just be like, "Hey, I really hate to break this to you." I don't know. I would have just said it a little more delicately than just saying, "Viserys is dead."
uh,
No, she really said bad news or worse news and just hit him with it.
Yeah,
yeah.
no precursor. It was just like Viserys is dead. Like, oh well, damn.
Well, try to keep in mind this woman thinks that I really think that Rhaenys is very much a bigger person type of person because
Absolutely.
she still believes that they are complicit in her son's death. So,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, and Arah, you are the same way. Not that Mandy isn't the same way, but Arah and I share a zodiac sign. Um, when we are finally done with you, when we are finally done with you, there's no need for pleasantries, just basic human decency.
You know what? When you put it that way, you're absolutely right. That makes more sense. I totally forgot about them thinking Lane.
Yes.
It is that Lane was not dead in my mind. I'm like, but
And I think a lot of
yeah,
what she did was more a courtesy to she did that more as a cousin than anything.
yeah,
Because Viserys was her cousin that she loved dearly. Rhaenyra was the heir that he chose. And I think there's no way. I mean, she had the opportunity to declare for Aegon. She just absolutely does not think, as much as she said, like, no, High Tide or Driftmark isn't going to take any part. I'm pretty sure that's the stance that my husband's going to take. I don't know. I'm still trying to like pinpoint her motives at this point in the episode because
it
you got to
makes
keep
sense.
in mind too, she has at no point bowed to Rhaenyra.
Yeah, but you
Right,
also
and
have
there's
to.
also
Oh, sorry, I said Baelin and
sorry.
Rhaena. just Baelor and Rhaena are there.
True.
Well, and there's
True.
also the fact that they imprisoned her and locked her in a tower. And so she's like, okay, do I want these people who literally locked me in a tower and tried to like let me rot up there, or are these people who arguably have the better claim because of the word of the king and are actually my family?
Well, the previous evening, I'm not, I hate defending the Greens. I can just understand the mindset. Sorry, I almost belched into the microphone, but I'm a lady.
I mute my mic like a damn lady.
I didn't even mute. I softly let that one out because I got finesse. So, anyway, in defense of the logic of the Greens, the day before, Rhaenys completely and utterly, what felt like out of nowhere for everybody, was like, yeah, I think that Lucerys is the legitimate heir to Driftmark, and let me upend everybody's plans. And what's on top of it, I just betrothed my granddaughters to Rhaenyra's sons. So it very much looks like she's Team Black from the Greens' perspective. But because she hasn't absolutely declared for the Blacks, and because of the fact that everybody believes that Daemon and Rhaenyra were complicit to her son's death, the Greens felt like they could still turn her, but it was still effed up to keep her locked up. But at the same time, they were kind of locking everybody up. Like, it's not like it was, I don't know. Like, I'd be pissed if I were Rhaenys, but I understand the logic from the Greens, but I'd still be
No,
pissed if I was Rhaenys.
I totally get the Greens' logic in this, their thought process. I'm saying from Rhaenys' point of view, like, these people kidnapped me. Like that would be the only thing in her mind.
She
like
was the
whether
princess in
she
the tower for a hot minute.
she was,
She
but like whether
was.
she understood their motives or not, like she still was captured and held. And so no matter what, she was going to have to break out of there.
Yeah. So
and where else would she go but to deliver this news?
Good point. I have a guys because I definitely understand why Rhaenys, because she somewhat mentions that she's doing it for her house, not really for them, but for her house, because at the end of the day, her grandchildren are there, and they should, and she's a Targaryen. At the end of the day, they're Targaryens. The Targ Tower kids, those those are my kinfolk.
Targ Tower.
So I call them Targ Towers because
Targ Tower.
But what I really thought was interesting is their reactions when not only Rhaenys tells them the news of Viserys, but the crowned Aegon, which obviously we saw how Rhaenyra acted, which was very, like, she just went into shock to the point that unfortunately, I should probably put a trigger warning here.
Trauma-induced labor.
Yeah, or essentially, we're going to get to a little bit, it leads to a miscarriage. But Daemon's first reaction is, they poisoned him. That woman killed my brother. That's his first thought.
Can we talk about Daemon? Because that is the part that I cried. Because that before Rhaenys revealed that Aegon was crowned, the way that Daemon turned around, and there was just absolute sadness in that man's eyes. And don't get me wrong, there's plenty that Daemon did that I am very much going to condemn going forward in this stream. But that was his brother. That, and as I will say, as the younger sibling in a dynamic where there are only two siblings, like Daemon and Viserys, you love very few things in this world the way you do your older sibling, especially when it's an older brother. So that part I cried. The sibling stuff just jerks some tears every time. But I think that after Rhaenys delivered the news that Aegon had been crowned, he just started jumping all over the place. Like, I'm sorry, but to be like, oh, they poisoned him, they murdered him. My dude, did you not see him?
Yeah, that's something that
did
gets
you
me.
Not?
Like,
however,
in his face, like Daemon.
Okay, here's where I will defend his mindset. Here's where I will, now that I've said it out loud, this is the first time it's occurred to me. like 2 seconds ago. I guess the timing is very ironic because he's been holding on all this time. And yes, it does look like he's holding on for dear life. He was holding on for dear life, but he seemed well enough when not on the milk of the poppy to go into the throne room. Okay. And then all of a sudden, the very day after, he declares for Rhaenyra and her sons once more, he's dead. And what's on top of it, the body literally wasn't even cold before they decided to crown Aegon. Timing wise, it looks sus.
Well,
It
and
reminds
further
me of
than that,
Bellows.
Daemon has thought for a while that Viserys was being poisoned because he picks up his goblet of milk of the poppy and smells it.
Yeah.
He's thought for a
Yeah.
while that Viserys was being poisoned.
Good point. I meant to say Lyman Beesbury is who kind of Damon reminded me of. We had talked about that last week in the last episode, the way he reacted, where he's like, the king seemed really well yesterday. And people are like, well, look at him. What are you talking about? But it's like, it's the first time he's actually been seen up and moving around. So I can understand why Damon, and obviously, Viserys, I think, used the very last energy he had left, thinking that, you know what, I brought my family to peace. Obviously, he didn't see the end of the dinner, but from what he saw, he's like, you know what, they're smiling, the kids are dancing, like, you know, I did what I was supposed to do. He thought he was telling Rhaenyra that he was really confident in her. Oh, sorry, I just want to finish this little sentence.
Okay.
He thought when he was passing, you know, not only the kids are happy, he thinks he's talking to Rhaenyra in his dying moments, confirming, like, with my dying wishes, yes, you are the right heir. It is you, supposed to be you. And then is like, all right, I see Aemma, I'm done. So I really feel he just used the last of it. I understand why Daemon, just obviously as a younger sibling, you it's hard to wrap your mind around losing someone you love in general. And again, like you mentioned earlier, Alisha, the timing of it. So I see why he reacted the way he did. Like, now they poisoned him. He just doesn't want to accept maybe that mortality of his brother in a way. I don't know.
Well, it reminded me a lot of, like, my grandfather passed about a year ago, a little over a year ago, and that old man was just tough as a damn goat. Like, it's like Brendan Tully said of his brother, like, we didn't think death had the patience, you know. And as he was dying, he was dying for like ever. And I hate saying that about my grandpa, like, man, just go, dude. But he just held on and held on and held on for a long time. And then finally, when he was on hospice, he was on hospice for days, and they had him pretty doped up just to be comfortable. And it wasn't until my uncle, his son, came, and he made his peace with his son. And my uncle told him, it's okay, Dad, you can go now, you know, that my grandpa had finally passed. So I think it is very realistic that even when you're old and you're dying and that you're like holding on like that until you make your final peace, and then you let yourself go. So I kind of think that's what happened with Viserys. Like, I think he was kind of holding out for Rhaenyra.
I do too.
And I do think he used the last of his strength. And I think that after seeing his whole family at peace, he was like, okay, there's nothing to hold on to anymore.
Yeah, and it's super sad. And kind of move to the next scene as we see how this family just continues to lose. We get this very heartbreaking scene with Rhaenyra as she unfortunately carrying. We're live.
I'm not
guys,
minding these cameos at all. I love him.
Yeah, I know you guys got 9 episodes without an actual feature, so sorry, you guys. This happens when we're live. Anyways, so unfortunately, it goes into a stress-induced labor, and what really I found very heartbreaking about this scene, and just because this is such a very, very sensitive topic, I'll be honest, I don't want to spend too much time on it. Um, with Rhaenyra, I didn't pull the picture up because in my opinion it was a bit graphic, and I just didn't want this to get this video to get taken down. I did see people complaining early on Twitter that had watched the episode when it leaked that they're like, oh, the baby wasn't born with the same like scales and tail thingy. But if you actually look at the frames, you could see some scaling on the back of the baby's head.
Yes, so the baby was scaled. The first time I watched it, I didn't really want to look because um it's an upsetting scene to watch, but then I decided to just go back and pause on the baby, and I realized that the baby had scales. But speaking of that, I do want to talk about a theory that I saw, and I really really like it. And hold on, let me pull it up right now. I got it from on Twitter. She goes by Pink Yeti Cup. She had brought up back in like late August. She had mentioned that her favorite dragon lore theory is that only Valyrian women can hatch dragons, like how Rhaena was able to hatch Morning, but little Viserys couldn't hatch his egg in Lys. And she thinks that's why Targaryens keep marrying Velaryons and, back and forth to one another. But she elaborated on it a little bit further, and I'm just going to read her tweets because she's so smart. Anyway, she said Daemon and Rhaenyra had like 7 kids between them, and they all had dragons that were hatched on Dragonstone because Rhaenyra was there. You got to be a fertile Valyrian woman, or there's got to be a fertile Valyrian woman around. That's why Egg and Rhaela, 9 months pregnant, or that's why Egg had Rhaela 9 months pregnant up at Summerhall. Everybody thinks he was ready to sacrifice Rhaegar, but he was trying to hatch a dragon for Rhaegar. It's why Dany was able to hatch Drogon, Viserion, and Rhaegal. It's why the Red God kept telling them to put an egg in all the babies' cribs, because a Valyrian baby was going to have a Valyrian mama nearby. It's why so many of them died in childbirth, because the Maesters figured out the women were the key to hatching dragons, so they were getting the girls up out of there. They can hatch dragons, but dragons can also heal them. That's why Dany recovered so swiftly from childbirth, and why Alyssa would hop on Meleys days after birth, and it's why Laena was dragging herself to Vhagar. House Targaryen needs Valyrian women. I really, really like that theory.
I love that theory. That is awesome.
Because I've never personally thought about that before, but it does kind of bring up a good point about I think that there's a good chance that Valyrian babies in the womb, and it's not like they had ultrasounds back then, but I'm adding to the theory, but I think there's a good chance that in the womb while they're gestating, they definitely look dragon-like, and then as they gestate, they take on more human-like features, which is why a lot of the time when these Targaryen women have stillbirths or have these miscarriages, so frequently these babies come out with reptilian features.
That makes a lot of sense. I actually really like that. That's a great theory.
So I think it's one of the reasons that Visenya, because I believe Visenya is her only show canon.
Daughter.
Well, show canon, she's definitely the only baby that didn't make it full term. I believe in the books it's that way as well.
It is in the books. Yeah, Rhaenyra's like I think she says in Fireblood, she was my only daughter and they took her from me.
Yes.
Something along those lines. And what I think is super sad is when Maester's like, you're like way too early, and Rhaenyra's kind of like, her and her midwives that are seen here, this isn't obviously Rhaenyra's first delivery or pregnancy. She's had 5 children at this point. The 6th. And she's like, they're like, Rhaenyra's like, no, I know what labor is, bro. I know what I'm going through. Like this baby's coming. And it's also really because I feel like obviously as she's doing this, we have our buddy Daemon he's already in war prep mode. He's like, all right, we got to get defenses ready. We got to line this stuff up. But just due to, I think it's like a kind of a struggle almost within her femininity where she's trapped, where it's like, I should be down there making these plans, but I literally cannot because I'm in active labor. And you guys, please, like, and obviously we see later on she makes the command like, don't do anything without me.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a really tough moment for her to have to. Obviously, there's just so much going on in one moment. Her father's dying, she's miscarrying, she's being betrayed. Like all these things are just running at once. And
so why?
And Damon is having a trauma response. He's
Oh, yeah.
dissociating the hell away because in his mind, this is just Lena all over again.
Mhm.
And so he's completely dissociated away from it, and he's throwing himself into the council and trying to do something that he can control because he knows he can't help in the room. He's been there. He knows no matter what he does, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So he goes and does something that he does have control over.
Correct. And I think, okay, so when the episode leaked, I saw a lot of people that were really pissed off about Damon just ignoring Rhaenyra while she was crying out for him. And they're like, you're turning him into a dick. Couple things here. I love me some Daemon Targaryen, but Damon is a dick. Okay. Second off, I don't think it was because he did not care about Rhaenyra. It's for the reasons exactly Mandy pointed out. It's not right. It's not okay. But I do think that, his last wife, while she was having a complicated childbirth, I mean, it's not just a matter of like, oh, his wife burned herself alive with her dragon. He witnessed that. So not only did he witness her having a really, really hard birth, but he witnessed her take her own life. So I think for him, not only that, but he doesn't know when the Greens are going to strike, especially when they have their own dragons. So I think it's a combination of trauma response, and also he realizes this thing has to be done. At least securing the perimeter of Dragonstone in itself.
Many people are scoffing at this. Guys, you can be a dick and be traumatized at the same time.
Correct.
Those two things
Most
are not
people are
mutually
dicks
exclusive.
because they're traumatized and they're
Because
very much
they're
unhealed.
There's no therapy in
The whole reason
Westeros.
he's a dick is because he needs therapy, guys. Like, this is not. We're not just pulling stuff out of our ass here.
I'm just saying, I've never in my life met an untraumatized person. Okay. I've never in my life met a really, really mean person that wasn't projecting a whole lot of pain off onto other people.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like, oh, let's feel sorry for the bully. Let's feel sorry for the a-hole. I'm saying factually, they have their little feelings hurt and they're bleeding all over people that did not cut them.
Right. They're protecting their owies by giving owies to other people.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate way of humanity, and that's just how humans are. And the thing I think we should make very clear about the show, and I shouldn't speak for you guys, but I feel like we're on the same boat. One of the reasons we love the show and the world that George created is none of the characters, for the part, are straight 100%. This is the good guy and this is the bad guy. They are like real humans that that are capable of doing good and bad shit. And I'll be honest, this is going to probably be a hot take here. I don't think Damon was wrong for ignoring her because, one, as Mandy said, besides emotional support, what was he going to be able to do? But at the same time, they essentially declared war once they crowned Aegon. We are a hop, skip, and a jump away. Like Alisha pointed out, they have dragons. We need to lock down our defenses because labor could take a very long time, and we may not have that time to get this all together. So the least we can do is make sure our home is as protected as possible. Because as we saw later on in this episode, I don't want them pull up very, very quickly. And he was trying to plan to have some force go in there and like infiltrate anyway. So Damon was not wholly wrong for doing this, because if Rhaenyra wasn't in labor, this is what she would have been doing. And as her partner, he's doing what he should be doing for his family. And
I do feel like he could have at least checked in
I mean, he
with
does
her.
eventually. He
Because
does after he
it's
gets all
a
the
big thing
planning
to say.
done.
It's a big thing to say besides emotional support, because it's one of those things that anytime a woman is giving birth, let's be honest here, she does not physically need the man in any freaking capacity. In
Oh, no, I
fact,
know
I
that.
know a lot of women,
No.
I know a lot of my good friends, are like, I just needed my man to leave the room.
No, that's
You
why
know?
there's always the cliche in the movie where the woman's like, "This is your fault, get away from me," because there's nothing you can do for me right now except get in my face and irritate me. So maybe just
Mhm.
step away and let me do this thing that I'm doing.
Yeah, but what I was trying to say is Damon does eventually come to see GrayArea once all the planning has been made. So his first line of business was, all right, let us get our affairs in order. As soon as that is done, I will. And that's exactly what he did. Because at the end of the day, somebody needed to be doing this planning. Someone needed to do it. It is what it is at the end of it. Is it up? Absolutely. And it's heartbreaking to hear her crying out for him, but at the same time, he's like, this is the best way I can help you at this very moment, is making sure you're protected. Because if I'm up there, no one's making these plans. Let's say they did roll up on Vagar, Sunfire, and Dreamfire. Like, what were we gonna do?
An air
What were we
fryer.
gonna do?
But
What were we
even
gonna do?
further than that, in Damon's mind, because of what happened to Lena, Rhaenyra is going to die. And so he is protecting her son's claim at the same time he's trying to help her, because he knows that that would be her priority. And she can't do it because she's in the middle of a miscarriage.
Yeah, and it's super messed up. And what we see after this, during this time while Damon's doing his planning, Jason and Luke come up to see
Oh my
their mom
gosh.
in.
I see that, and
Oh, I
I'm
see that.
Holy goodness.
very grateful.
Very grateful. We'll
Oh
get to
my
that
God.
very, very shortly. Thank you so much. All right, I just sorry. Whoa. The scene. So sorry guys.
Let's just
We got a lot of
address
episode to
it.
cover.
Let's
I
just
would say
address it. Okay.
no,
Yeah.
no, Alisha. I just want to get through this
Okay.
scene real
All
quick
right.
because we have a couple more before that we have to get to too.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
We've got a lot of episode to cover and we're already an hour in. So this scene, I feel so bad for my little boys here. You walk
Look at
in.
Luke's face. Luke's face is just like, I don't know what to do.
Gross. Yeah, it's like labor is a messy business. So you see your mom, who you know, because I mean, you have 3 younger brothers at this point, Luke. Jacaerys has 4. You see labor's messy, but you know your mom isn't supposed to be having this baby anytime soon. So you see your mom actively in very early labor. Obviously they don't know what's happening really, that she's miscarrying, but they're seeing that. So they get shock of their mom, and then at the same time finding out, oh yeah, and your grandpa's dead. Oh, and actually your uncle, they crowned him king. That is a very weird place to get all this news dumped on you. Like, can we talk about like therapy? These kids need therapy because I couldn't imagine.
No, they're the blood of the dragon. No psychological needs whatsoever. Just fire and blood.
Like, it's just like all this shit at the same time. It's like, I'm sorry, mom, I'm trying to process you right now, let alone everything you just told me. Oh, by the way, where's
Incest
Damon?
and vibes.
And Lucerys is still like, Jace was mean to me in the sparring yard. He's not. I just wanted to say it. But man, even the Master at Arms was like, chill out, bro.
Like, you're going a little hard there, Jace. But it kind of reminded me of Harwin. R.I.P.
Mom, I get that you're going through a lot right now, but can you talk to Jace?
He was gonna be mean to me. No.
Can you not
Because
bleed your
that
blood
would
in
literally
front
be
of me?
one of my children. Like that would literally be one of my kids.
Oh my god. But I do love little Luke here, where he's like, where's your man at? Where's Damon? Where's steppapa /
Well, no, I think Rhaenyra asked,
granduncle?
where's Damon? And he's like, I don't know.
Oh, I thought he was the one. No, he's the one. Luke's the one who said, "Where's Damon?" She don't know.
And
Gone
Rhaenyra
off to
says, "I don't know."
madness. She's like, he's gone off to his
That's
madness
right.
or something like that. Which I was like, that line. I don't know. It's giving me Shakespeare. I wish I had the exact. It sounded very Shakespearean. But
she's very well read.
She is.
She
She
loves to
says,
read.
"I read my histories." Um, but yeah, so our little boy here, he approaches step papa and is like, "Ayo, my mom said cut it out. No making plans without her." But Damon's like, "Anyways, like I said, go send them ravens and let me show you what loyalty really look."
So
And that's loyalty.
Okay, I'm sorry. Caraxes is the one dragon in the entire series that every time I look at him, I'm like, you don't look for real. It's that neck. Anyway. It's one of those things where Damon knew good and well, and I don't think he was threatening them with dragon fire right then and there, because he knew that no matter what, with his dragon there, they were going to say, yes, I'm loyal to Rhaenyra. But he did tell them, if you betray me later, or if you betray us later, you'll die screaming. It does remind me a lot of what Dany said to Varys on Dragonstone, except she actually did say that she burned him alive, which she did, but she kept her promise. So I'm kind of interested to see if the show is going to deviate or do their own thing in the books in any way, shape, or form with these two Kingsguard.
They might, because so in the scene we have Sir Stefan Darkling and Laurent Marbrand. So Stefan Darkling is actually the one who brings the crown to Rhaenyra, which they replace with Sir Eric in this episode, which I do like that twist or switch up.
I think they're going
giving
to
the twins a little more weight is fun.
So now that they don't have to cover a good 29 years worth of background in one season, and I mean the Dance of the Dragon takes place what, 129 to 131, 2 years, and we've got at least 2 or 3 seasons ahead of us. There's time to slow down, and there's time to actually, and they kind of did that once Viserys died. Like, they slowed down, they kind of like elaborated on the characters more. I think that Eric and Arik are going to be what in the ever-loving God. Okay. I think that they are going to get a lot more focus, and they're going to be a lot more fleshed out. I won't say any more. We'll save it for the end of the episode.
Yeah, I agree. And I think what I did like about the scene, especially because, as we know, Rhaenyra is still, indisposed, if you will, at this moment. Damon's not quite sure what's happening with her. So he probably thinks that, she's probably going to die like Lena did. And when he says his little speech here, he enforces the fact that Jacaerys is her heir. With Jacaerys Jacaerys present. Sorry. And I think that says a lot with, right, now you're going to swear fealty to Rhaenyra, who I'll just be her proxy, but you're going to swear fealty to my stepson right here too. Or, Caraxes can, just eat you or burn you alive. So what's your choice? And I love that. I like for him that he thinks, I don't know. I just love that little worm. I love Caraxes. Every time I get to see Caraxes, I get excited. They're perfect for each other. They're soulmates. That's his little dragon, and it's great.
Back in episode 2, I think it was back in episode 2. I don't remember who tweeted it, but it was I believe it was someone in the Targ Nation, Targ Stan. But it was really hilarious because the way that when Rhaenyra goes to get that dragon egg back, and Daemon tossed it to her, they were making fun of the way Caraxes, like, the its little thing that it always does.
He's just a squeaky baby.
And they were like, I'm paraphrasing, but they're like, damn, the way that Daemon is tossing those babies around, it's no wonder Caraxes turned out deformed.
Oh my God.
Oh, I know, because Caraxes is all bow-legged too. Caraxes is such a cutie, so like ugly but cute.
It's always he's a very formidable dragon. Like, he's probably seen just as much battle as Vhagar, at least.
Yeah.
Just as much war and battle. But at least Vagar has this like very formidable roar. Caraxes is like
Caraxes be singing and stuff too. Well, Vagar sings too, but Caraxes like sings love songs. Caraxes is a slut dragon.
He's a ballad
I love
boy.
that for him.
He's a throat goat.
He's a throat goat. I love that for him. I love Caraxes.
Everyone else is like, "Rawr," and here comes Caraxes.
He's so cute. I love him. But so after Damon kind of, handles business, he finally goes to see GrayArea after everything's been all said and done. And unfortunately, little Visenya clearly doesn't make it. And sorry, I didn't pull up his picture in the scene. The nonverbal communication between these two, like Emma and Matt Smith, chef's kiss.
So good together.
So freaking good. They're so
good
this.
together.
I thought it was going to be really hard to follow Emily Alcock and not Emily, Millie Alcock and Matt Damon together. Matt Damon. I did. I did what Bridge 4 does. Matt Smith. Can we call him Matt Damon? Matt Damon. I thought it was going to be really hard to follow their chemistry, but Emma absolutely nails it.
Yeah, they been so heartbreaking, and her just preparing Visenya, it's just so hard. And what I do love is, even though they gave Visenya, a classic traditional funeral, and the fact it was just the two of them together.
Okay, I'm coming in with my first real critique. First real critique of the episode. This is totally on the writers. Visenya's funeral, really? Visenya's funeral, that's when you're gonna do like the coronation. Like, I get it, time restraints, law of conservation, all that other stuff, but it's like,
right. But like from Nira and Damon's point of view, like, can we have a moment?
Right. And I don't remember who wrote the tweet, but they pointed out that Rhaenyra has a phenomenal amount of restraint, because I feel like anybody else would have wigged the F out. Like, look, I've been through a lot. I'm having a rough day. Can we choose a different time?
Yeah. Like, this seems like an awkward time, but I do like in the
Eric was not reading a proof.
No,
he was not. He's definitely the denser of the two brothers.
Was it in the official, apparently, the official, I shouldn't say apparently, HBO sponsors it, but their official podcast, they had Ryan Condal on for the finale, and he said that essentially it seems like what their mindset was for the scene is, during one of her lowest moments, like her absolute lowest moment, like she lost a child, she's getting the news she's lost her father. This is all happening within like probably a good 24 hours of each other. She's been betrayed by her brother and what she thought was maybe mending the relationship with her former best friend, possibly, like all this betrayal. And then now we're going to coronate her to kind of bring her that. So like, even in her lowest moment, they kind of raise her up. So it's like, you can't keep well, he doesn't say you can't keep a good bitch down for long, but I'm saying you can't keep a good bitch down for long. Essentially, that's where they were like, in her lowest moment, that's when they give her that win. That
can you imagine if the moment she decided to fly back on Cyrax was after they already crowned Aegon? What if she missed Rhaenys completely?
That would have been so freaking awkward.
It would have been like that Umbrella Academy meme where Vanya and Five are driving by each other in the cars, except that it would have been Rhaenys and Rhaenyra on track and back.
Like, wait, where are you going? Yeah, that would be perfect. Somebody who's really good with Photoshop, please do that. I was going to say, so before we really get into this coronation scene, I do want to hit some of these super chats real quick. So we have a super chat from Count Velaryon of House Tatters. I love the coronation, both simpler and more moving than Aegon's. P.S. Would Otto make a good vampire?
What the hell?
No, we're doing this. We're doing this. Let's address the question. He asked the question.
I mean,
Okay.
Reese, like the actor, absolutely. Otto himself, I don't want him to be an immortal being.
Okay. Two Ottos. I loathe Otto more than any other character that they have presented so far. And I say that because they have not presented Unwin Peak yet.
Yeah.
That's not a spoiler. I'm just saying Unwin Peak can suck my imaginary pee-pee. Anyway, Otto, I'll give him this much. We've seen that man shook one time in 10 episodes. And that's when Damon pulled the old, that's why your mama dead. Dead as hell. When Damon was talking about his dead wife. That's the one time we've seen Otto shook. So I feel like, to Otto's credit, he is very well composed. Almost more than Tywin. Almost, but I don't know if I want to give him that award yet.
I feel like we're just comparing all three trash people because you brought up Unwin Peak. They're all just trash. Who's less trash of the trash? But I will say I did like her more.
Top tier trash.
God, I can't stand that man when he comes up. One thing I do agree with, I liked Rhaenyra's
Lord Farquaad
coronation.
Okay, sorry.
One thing I really did like about Rhaenyra's coronation more so than Aegon's, even though Aegon's, don't get me wrong, visually fire. I love the over the topness. But what it seemed like with Aegon is they were trying to overcompensate. Kind of look when Otto's like, well, he has the Conqueror's crown and the Conqueror's name and the Conqueror's sword, and we did it here. And it's like, because you're trying to
you also went out of your way to,
because you're trying to prove a point. Rhaenyra doesn't have to have that happen in front of everybody because we know what's up. We know she's the heir. She doesn't need all that extra pizzazz. Like, I will say the Greens are really good at PR, but Rhaenyra didn't need all that, and I thought it was well done. She's wearing her dad's crown.
And when we get back to New York, tell Leslie. Okay, sorry. All right, I'm done.
So the coronation was my second time crying. It was when Damon kneeled in front of her, because it was like such a show of deference from someone who is normally so cocky and just could not give a shit about anyone whose status is higher than his, because in his mind he is top tier.
I want to talk about how Rhaenys did not bow, because I love that.
Oh, I love that for her. I like how she's kind of like,
she's just like,
you got to show me.
Yeah.
Show me I should bow to you. But I did want to say with Damon, that you just reminded me of, after the casting of Matt, I hadn't seen him in a lot of stuff. I'll be honest. I don't watch Doctor Who. My best friend loves Doctor Who. My best friend Cheryl's obsessed. But so she was excited when she found out. I was like, who the heck is Matt Smith? So, he plays Prince Philip in The Crown. So I was like, oh, let me go watch that. And in that show, as well as like because he plays Prince Philip, who is the late Queen Elizabeth II's husband. He's the first one that bows to her during her coronation.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, parallels between your two roles. Like after I played Prince Philip, I was like, oh yeah, he's gonna kill Damon. And I do see in his portrayal of Philip a lot of those notes he kind of pulled into Damon a bit with like the arrogance, but
always the bridesmaid, never the bride energy.
Yeah. Thank you. That's a perfect description of it. Exactly just like that. But him, he's a feminist icon. You guys say that. I'm just kidding. Let me stop, because in a couple scenes I'm gonna take that back.
He's a feminist icon.
In this one scene. The episode ended here. I don't know about
I'm
that.
prepared to.
Yeah.
I'm prepared to defend him. Carry on.
Okay, me too. Spoiler.
We're gonna get canceled for what we have to say about the choking scene because we're not gonna take it seriously.
It's gonna be so bad. But
Okay,
before
okay, all right.
before we get to that, let's get to a couple more of these super chats,
How
guys.
Rhaenyra didn't whisper harder, Daddy. I will never
I
understand.
know.
Totally get. I'm like, oh, where's the?
There's a
Oh,
part
well,
of me that was like,
I'm a queen. All right, let me stop. Thank you for this super chat, Ijovu. Thank you so much.
Thank
You've
you so much.
you've been hanging out with us weekly, and you've been so kind and generous throughout the season. So we really appreciate it. Just wanted to say, excellent job on your content this season. And yes, Damon could have done nothing to help during her labor. I mean, like we just said, in active labor, no. But what he did do is make sure their home and their children were going to be safe by seeing to the defense of Dragonstone. And if you have a problem, I mean, I don't know what to tell you guys. I just think he did what he could. And that's that. But we have another super chat from Fernando. Thank you again. Even if Jace Joff were legitimate, that would not have changed anything. Rhaenyra was still a female heir. Alicent had 3 sons, and Otto would still be a prick about it.
I've been waiting my whole life to talk about this. By my whole life, I mean all morning. Can I address
get to it. Get
okay.
it.
Okay. So, we need to talk about. I'm just gonna start from the beginning. When it comes down to it, Aegon became Aegon the First, the Conqueror. He became king of Westeros through right of conquest. That is the precedent right there. Whoever takes the power has the power. On the other end of things, Viserys was king. Okay, nope, I'm going to backtrack a little bit more. Jaehaerys had no clear heir. So as king, he decided by law, as king, he decided that whatever the council decided, he was going to go with that heir. The precedent that they set there, that was more like a guideline than the actual law that no woman can ever inherit. With that said, that was Jaehaerys' choice to just go with the council. Viserys became the new king. Once Viserys became king, his word became law. Viserys said over and over and over through the course of 20 years until the day that he died, until the literal day that he died, that Rhaenyra was his heir. That right there made her the legitimate heir to the throne. It did not matter if the people that swore fealty to her had died, or most of them died, and now it got passed on to their sons. Lawfully, she was still the heir because that's what the king decreed over and over for 2 decades. What's on top of it? We all know that those boys were most likely strong bastards. However, it's like Corliss pointed out, history remembers names. The fact of the matter is, the king sitting at the Iron Throne recognized them as legitimate heirs. Rhaenyra always claimed them as legitimate heirs. Laenor Velaryon claimed them as legitimate heirs. Corlys Velaryon claimed them as legitimate heirs. And the day that Viserys died, he reaffirmed that they are legitimate heirs. We don't care what the gossip says. Lawfully, Rhaenyra is the heir. Yes, she probably had extramarital affairs. It is what it is. Like I said, there's a good chance those boys are bastards. But when it comes to law, they are her lawful, legitimate heirs. I rest my case.
Right. They were used as an excuse.
Oh, absolutely.
That's all they were used for. And whether they had the silver hair, they would have just said, oh, she's been screwing Daemon. Like, they would have done anything to try and delegitimize her. And
from the get,
right, from the very, very, very beginning. And so the boys were used as pawns, as Otto is wont to do. He does it with his own child. Why the hell wouldn't he do it with someone else's children? They were just the means to an end. I don't think he even really cared if they were legitimate or not. They were just convenient to his plan.
And what did he want Rhaenyra to do? Like, her husband laid with her. In the books, it says like maybe a dozen times. They definitely tried a few times in the show, as they said. What do you want her to do? What do you want her to do? Just not have sex? That's so unfair.
Yeah, and let's all be real here. The main reason Otto wouldn't care either which way Rhaenyra would inherit. The minute Rhaenyra is coronated, he goes back to being the second son of Towers with no lands, no titles. This man has been hand to the king, minus that brief 10 years that it was Sir, oh my gosh, Lionel Strong. The brief 10 years that this was the last hand of Jaehaerys, ruled hand for most of Viserys. Rhaenyra getting coronated, she's kicking him out. She's not keeping him on board. She doesn't like him. She doesn't need him. So he wants to maintain his power as much as humanly possible. So he wouldn't give a flying F about her kids being legitimate, because he knows if she assumes power, he loses. And that's all he truly cares about.
So I see in the chat, Count Velaryon of House Tatters said, if they don't want to accept Rhaenyra, they can hold another council, not a coup. So I'm gonna like 90% agree with that, because I am 100% what Viserys said. What Viserys said was absolutely law. However, they should have held a council, because realistically, Aegon would have won that council. Let's be honest. But at least it would have avoided accusations that there was a coup. It would have, there probably still would have been never mind. There probably still would have been a war. However, it wouldn't be the same kind of usurping, not the same amount of usurping. It would have given Rhaenyra a little more of a chance without bloodshed, per se.
It would have turned Rhaenyra into the usurper.
Interesting. We also before we get back into the episode, a couple more super chats. We have another one from J Chu. Thank you. Daemon and Aemon's storyline will be quite interesting next season, with both ending up in a relationship with witches. Oh, I'm excited.
Unfortunately, let's talk about that at the end of the episode.
Okay, yeah. With my golf queen, I cannot wait to see her. But yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later.
Okay. Just because I will say this. I don't remember who said it, but someone said that Aemon Targaryen and Alice Rivers are like the Westerosi equivalent of Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly.
Oh my God.
And I can't unsee that now.
So accurate.
That is the most accurate thing ever. Yeah. And it's like all the information we hear about them was against our will.
Yeah. I actually, now that I like on-screen Aemond way more than I liked on page Aemond. However, when you think about it, we'll talk about it later, but was what Aemond did at the end of the episode really a deviation from the books? Because the books was told from a subjective history perspective.
From someone standing on the ground looking up at the clouds.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, which dragon struck the first blow?
Okay, so, we should probably move on.
No, I know, I agree, but you have a point.
Yeah. So, we get into that scene. It's gonna be fun. But before we get there, so Rhaenyra's coronation. Bring this back a little bit. We kind of already briefly talked about this. Sir Eric pulls up with the crown of Jaehaerys and Viserys, Rhaenyra, and can I just say, all right, so I cried a little bit when he started re-swearing his vows to her. It kind of reminded me, or at least gave me the same feelings of my favorite episode of Game of Thrones when
Brienne.
The Watchers on the Wall, when Gren and the Night's Watchmen, before they face off against the giant in the tunnel, how they restate their Night's Watch vows.
You've emotionally
they're saying their vows
as
their hype song.
Yeah, and that literally. I'm sorry. That's my. I just want to throw that. That's my absolute favorite episode of Game of Thrones.
Right? Do you know how many times I've watched Watchers on the Wall? There are certain scenes. I used to work awake overnights at a group home. Yeah. And I would put on seasons of Game of Thrones over and over because I knew it was something that I would enjoy, but it was something I had seen so many times I wouldn't necessarily stop what I was doing to just glue myself to the TV and watch it. So you still catch snippets here and there, but one thing I always made myself available for is Watchers on the Wall. I would actually whatever I was doing, gravitate back toward the TV to watch it. And I kept watching that scene where Carl fucking Tanner and Jon Snow have that fight scene. I just love Jon Snow fight scenes so much. But anyway, Watchers on the Wall. I'm rabbit trailing so bad. But yeah, when Gren dies, that, and when Pip dies,
Oh,
deeply
so
upsets
sad.
me.
It's
Deeply
so upsetting.
upsets me. And the way Sam's like, it's okay. It's not that bad. And he's choking on his own blood. Okay.
Sorry. Oh, and the fact that we're about to get a lot of those types of episodes very soon in House of the Dragon. I don't know if I'm prepared for it, but yeah, that's kind of where the emotion I was getting out of this scene when he's like swearing his vows to her. I just thought it was so touching. And the fact that this is Aegon's sworn shield that is swearing vows to her, I feel like that doesn't get stated
Does he
more.
know?
He knows
Well, okay,
Aegon
okay.
better than almost anybody.
It
Literally
it was
anybody,
stated.
and he doesn't
It
think
was
he's worth
stated
it.
just prior to this because throughout the episode, like he was his sworn shield. He followed him everywhere. He was telling his twin left and right. Do you see how unfit this boy is to rule? Not only is he like, first of all, what was it? Eric? Was it Eric that brought Diana to Queen Alicent?
Ooh, yeah,
When Aegon took certain liberties
uh-huh.
of, okay,
Because he
so
would have
not
been
only does
there.
he know he's an absolute creep, but just the scene that we saw of those children fighting for sport and Aegon just leaves his bastard children there at the mercy of the people that are making these children fight each other. I'm sorry, I'm gonna mute my mic. Soft burp coming.
I'll say,
She never gives me this courtesy when we're on the phone, by the way. She just blows it right into my ear. I just need everyone
First
to
of
know
all, I feel betrayed because you let people know. Second off, we are live. Many people mind hearing a belch. Listen, shut the fuck up. Anyway,
anyway, but as you were saying,
sorry. Okay. I am currently drinking an IPA, and that's why the burpees are on. In fact, it's really anyway. Um, he can see what a horrible person Aegon is. Now, don't get me wrong; they do a very good job of fleshing out Aegon, not in a way that I'm ever going to feel sorry for him or like him, but in the way that it's like, okay, I can completely and utterly see how the road was paved for him to become this little cretin. Because it's like we talked about earlier, people who are deeply harmful toward other people, they're wrong. They need to not get the fuck off. But that's not born out of nowhere. However, nobody knows Aegon like Eric. So, for starters, he swore an oath to King Viserys. Viserys, time and time again, declared Rhaenyra as his heir. He knows what Aegon is. He's not for Aegon.
Yeah, and I feel like that should hold more weight than anybody else that declares for Aegon or declares for Rhaenyra, because he literally is like, yeah, no, firsthand account, he's awful. That's why I'm here for you, princess, because let's be honest, and as we get into this episode a little further, as you pointed out, Rhaenys doesn't bow when everybody else bows. Rhaenys is kind of like, wait and see.
I hate Eric's rat tail. Can we backtrack a little bit?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, that's it. Okay, we're done. Okay, sorry.
Okay, no worries.
All right.
But so everybody bows. Obviously, Eric technically being the first, then hands the crown to Daemon. Daemon, once the crown he places it on her head, then he bows. But as we see, everybody else kind of bows, except Rhaenys, because I love how Rhaenys is kind of like, she already knows Aegon's a piece of trash, but I think for her, it's like, all right, let's see where Rhaenyra's head's at. If I don't think Rhaenyra is also a good choice, I think we should sit this one out, is what I'm kind of getting from her here. Like, I'm not going to fully commit just yet. Like, I'm still waiting to see if I really should back you. It's kind of what I got from her. What about you guys?
I think that her first instinct was like Corlys's first instinct. Neither of them wanted part. And they're a powerful enough house that they could sit that one out, like the Lannisters did, just without the really shitty ending.
Oh, good point. I did actually want to, just because I'm looking at it, I wanted to point out, I noticed my queen right here, my little princess Bela, is in red and black, and all the other episodes we had before this, she was in blue. Look who's on the team. Look who's on the team. She's
Well,
like,
she's about to be queen of the Seven Kingdoms.
yeah, I like how she's getting into her house a little bit more. Bela Targaryen, I love it.
Well, it's
She's
like
repping for the
Alicent did
mommy.
when she became queen of the Seven Kingdoms. She strayed away from green and she started wearing red and black all the time until Rhaenyra had the audacity to sleep with a boy lesbian.
Oh my god, I can't wait till we get into the lesbian of it all, because geez Louise, is Alicent, my god, woman. Oh my gosh, she loves her. If you guys don't believe that, I don't know what to tell you. It's so evident to me. But we move from
She needs
Rhaenyra's.
a pair of scissors so bad.
Oh shit, she does. So we moved from Rhaenyra's coronation to their first official council, and I'm not sure about you guys. I didn't know that the table lit up. I didn't know it worked like this. I didn't know there was a secret candle button that you had to
That's
press.
because Stannis didn't have any idea what the hell he was doing. Didn't know how to make the damn thing work.
Yeah, same with Danny. I don't think they left the instructions on how to light up the table when they left.
No, it's so freaking cool. We got so screwed in Game of Thrones. Like, we deserved that. Thank you.
Okay, but here's where
Someone
you
that
can say
works with
nothing was
resin and
retconned.
wood. Can you please do this for me? I will pay. Thank you.
Pay big money. Okay, well, here's where technically it might not be a retcon. I mean, I highly doubt the Song of Ice and Fire was passed down through the Targaryen lines. I think it was lost at a certain point in juncture. So is the knowledge of the painted table.
Well, which is arguably more important, okay?
Arguably
more important. The table.
Well, okay, someone pointed out.
Point.
I saw this quite a bit on Twitter. Some people were pointing out that Summerhall is on the painted table, and Summerhall wasn't built until after the Dance of the Dragons.
Ew. Well, I mean, they probably
just. And Bitterbridge is on there too, and Bitterbridge was not named Bitterbridge until the rule of Maegor the Cruel.
Well, Maegor was before this.
Yes, but Aegon the Conqueror built this table.
Oh yeah, Good point. Yeah. Good point.
He saw it in the dreams. It's fine.
But I'm about to find a way to mental gymnastics justify it. You watch me.
Mine is
he saw it in the dreams. He's like, no, yeah, it's gonna be right there.
Huzzah! We did it.
Yeah. Oh, my mental gymnastics was
congratulations.
I was gonna say my gymnastics on this wasn't really much. It was, they just said I want to get a whole new table for the show because it looked like it was probably really expensive to make, and I'm all for
they had to make another one. Maybe someone got mad and broke the first one. Okay, it's not that funny. It's not that deep. Okay.
But, I don't think the candles. I saw people say like the candles is the no. Let's be honest. By the time in Game of Thrones, the first time we see the painted table is with Stannis. Stannis got drawn out of seizure when the Targaryens were fleeing. Like at that time, before the residents before that were Queen Rhaella, who was pregnant with Daenerys, baby Viserys. I don't think they were planning any war councils, so there probably weren't some candles under the table. So how would they know if they've never been to a war council on Dragonstone that the table lit up?
I can totally see Stannis being like, you guys should know the map.
Yeah, you know that. And those scenes were usually shot during the daytime. So maybe during the daytime they don't light it up.
Hey, do you remember when he took carnal pleasure with Melisandre on that table?
Oh, she could have lit it up. Oh, okay, let me stop.
She could have. Yeah, you're right. She could have lit it up.
She has fire magic. Where was she? But seriousness in this scene. So we have like everybody kind of standing around the table, kind of planning the next moves that they're going to make. And I really loved that Arah included Bela and Rhaena at the table, which I could tell definitely made Rhaenys happy again. She was like, okay, all right,
It was
another
very
check.
much a new generation of women coming in, and I
Yeah.
liked it. And it was
Here's what I didn't
Rainy's,
like.
and it was Rainy's like, that's how it should have been.
Here's what I didn't like. Other than being like, I brought you alcohol, my Grace, your Grace. Those girls had no lines.
Yeah, I need a lot more Bela and Reyna in the future. I'm just throwing that out there.
No,
Like,
don't get me
need
wrong.
it,
They are
need
barely
it.
featured in the books, but at the same
Yeah,
time, how are you going to go out of your way to, like, for me, it's like I had such high hopes when Ryan Condal and casting directors went out of their way to cast and include people of color, especially
Right.
Black people, in this show. Now I need you to have them do something other than sit there and look pretty.
agreed. I couldn't have said that better than myself. What was I gonna say? Oh, so at this table, war counselor. They kind of go over who their allies are. So Damon mentions the Massies, Bar Emmon, and Darkland, which are in the Crown Lands, if I'm not mistaken. And then they suggest reaching out to the Vale, which is headed by the Lady of the Vale, Jane Eyre, who is related to Rhaenyra through her mother Aemma.
Their cousins once removed.
Yep. Oh, look at you! You got the removed part. All right, Alisha, we see you. We see
I
you.
got you.
Okay. We get fun with the Muppets. So the Muppets that live at River Run, which is, I agree with Damon when he keeps reiterating the fact that the Riverlands are very important. And I know we've said it in past streams. We actually have a stream dedicated to like some of the magic going on in the Riverlands that you can check out in one of the playlists on this channel.
Go watch it.
Go watch it after this.
Isn't it our Halloween episode?
I think it was our Halloween episode from here. It's on a playlist. It's the Winter Prediction playlist. You guys can watch after this. Also linked in the description. Sorry after all those plugs. Seriously, so shame. As we've seen in the past, a lot of major wars, the lands and who holds it can be a very key factor on who wins. So I think Damon saying, I'll go as our representative to secure the Muppet Squad. I vibe with it. Then
I'll go to Sesame Street.
Damon can tell you how to get to Sesame Street. That's for damn sure.
He definitely could. And then Storm's End, who is the House Baratheon, which obviously we get to in this episode, but they are related through Rhaenys because Rhaenys' mother is a Baratheon.
Mm-hmm.
And then Winterfell, and as oh my goodness, I forgot to pull up the gentleman's name, or I have it somewhere buried in my notes.
Buried, I say.
Oh my gosh, the gentleman. What's his name? I just completely spaced on it. I was gonna call him. It's not Butterwell. It's
Butterball.
Oh my gosh, I have it in my notes.
Bar Emmon.
Thank you, that fella. Where he's like, well, Winterfell, the Northerners, they never, break oaths, so they're kind of like, yeah, we got that.
So, okay, I saw a lot of people kind of critiquing that Rhaenys herself did not go to Storm's End. Do some mental gymnastics with me. Bartmus. Okay. So at that point, I believe Rhaenys had already volunteered to patrol the Gullet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait. Actually, we're skipping some scenes because she didn't volunteer to patrol the Gullet until after Corlys had recovered.
Oh, actually,
that's right, because Corlys points it out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, okay, but still to my point. She volunteered to go patrol the Gullet, which means if it comes down to combat, that's something she's volunteered for. Rhaenys only let her kids go out as envoys, as messengers. So in order for Rhaenys to go to Storm's End, then Jace would have had to go to the Gullet. We'll talk about that at the end of the episode. I know. If you know, you know. That would have involved him doing something that could have possibly put him in the line of combat. Rhaenys or Luke, whatever. Yes, Rhaenys was related to Bormund or Boros. Which one was the one that was?
Boros.
So many
Boros
names.
is the one that Bormund is the one that swore the oath. Boros is the one that's currently
Boros. Okay. As it pointed out, Rhaenyra kind of did assume that Boros was going to welcome Luke with open arms very warmly.
I mean, she was right that they'd be lucky to have a prince and a dragon as a guest, just not that prince and that dragon.
The irony. You see, House of the Dragon is picking up on Game of Thrones as irony. Yes, but it wasn't. It wasn't that. It was ill planned, but I don't think it was stupid. If that makes sense.
I agree. It makes sense because it's not that far from there, and literally just going as a messenger, coming back. I don't think they thought.
But she could have made a pit stop. She could have done both. Because Rhaenyra. You know what? Now that I'm saying it out loud, I don't know. I feel like Rhaenyra could have gone, and then gone to the gullet. Because Rhaenyra pointed out it's such a short flight.
Yeah, yeah. You're right. I'm just still like, I don't think they expected what to happen.
Look at me changing my mind on live. Okay.
So also in this scene, this is we talked about it a little bit earlier. This is the only season 1 allusion to Daeron Targaryen. Since if you weren't here at the beginning of the episode or just unfamiliar, Daeron is the 4th and last child of Alicent and Viserys. No, you didn't miss him in a scene.
Nothing wrong ever.
Yeah,
except for Helena.
Yeah, you didn't miss him. He just never popped up in the season, except Daemon saying, "We have 13 dragons to their 4." But I forgot to pull it up. But when he's like, "We have Cyrex, Caraxes, Melees." Rhaenys' face is like, "You have who?"
Right. I loved her face. I feel like that wasn't okay. I love it. I love it when you're watching a film or a show and you get this moment where it's not the character anymore, it's the actor, but it's still like chef's kiss, really good for the show. Like in Hunger Games, when Johanna Mason takes off all of her clothes in front of Katniss and Peeta, that look that Katniss gives, it's no longer Katniss. It was Jennifer Lawrence. But anyway, that look that Rhaenys made, I feel like it was no longer Rhaenys, it was Eve Best, but I'm still 100% here for it.
Oh, I was 1,000% here for it. She was like, "Hold on, who?"
She's like, "You have who?"
Yeah, and in this scene, I also want to bring up that I really liked about the scene before I move on a little bit is Daemon obviously is like the only person at this table with actual battle experience. So he's kind of controlling the conversation. And if you look at Rhaenyra's kind of taking somewhat of a back seat to all this, where she's more or less like, she pulls a Daenerys. Well, I shouldn't say she pulls a Daenerys. I guess Daenerys pulls a her chronologically. I don't want to be queen of the ashes and bones when boredom. Oh my gosh, you guys just said it. I'm so sorry. Somebody just brought it up in the chat, and thank you, George Pellerin. Bartimus. Thank you. When Bartimus is like, y'all got dragons. Why don't you just go burn down the Red Keep? Which is the exact same advice that Daenerys was given to. Why don't you just go smoke out your ops at the Red Keep? They're right there, and you have dragons. Like, go do that. But Rhaenyra, like Daenerys, is like, I want to try to handle things as diplomatically as possible. She's like her father in that regard. She's like, what? I don't want to just rush into war. I want to know who my allies are. I don't want to just, send people to go die before I got everything kind of figured out.
Can we talk about how much she has grown up since episode 4 when she went out onto the streets with Daemon and she was watching that play that did not shed her in the most favorable of light. She did not give a crap about the people. And here it's a combination of things. She cares about Westeros. She cares about the land. But what's on top of it, she's like, if we go at it with our dragons, it's going to split the realm in 2. And the reason I was named heir is because my father truly believed that I was going to uphold the Song of Ice and Fire. We need the realm as one in the event that the threat from the north comes. So she's very much of a mind that she knows she can't just do nothing, but it's like she says later on, it's probably going to come to blood. It's going to come to war, but we're not going to be the first people to strike. However, we'll talk about it later toward the end of the episode. I do wonder.
Ooh. what you're wondering about, but I know we're going to get there in a little bit. So this scene is interrupted because we get news that Sir Otto has arrived. Sorry, I just don't like Otto. Sir Otto has arrived.
Okay.
Can't stand that man. Sir Otto has arrived to Dragonstone. At least give him slight. I'm wondering, do you think he planned on doing what he was going to send Sir Harold Westerling, who we do not see in this episode? Just don't matter. What Sir Harold Westerling was supposed to do? Like, all right, I'm gonna send this team in, and we're gonna everybody. Or did he really think that he was gonna go with the terms? What if he sent him
Arah and he's like, just live under the floorboards for a few weeks,
pretend to be your brother?
Arah was there, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he
and
was,
Maester Orwyle, who I'm like, the hell is he supposed to do? But I guess Otto just like pulling up with the Grand Maester. I think maybe he thinks it adds weight to like whatever bullshit he's about to say. But like, I guess
the way Daemon was like, it's go time. I've been waiting years for this.
He's like, I've been waiting my whole life for this moment. I was made for this. And I felt him.
It's like, you yelled at me when I played my emo music too loud. Now is the moment.
Yo, he probably did. I'm so convinced he did. But so I do want to go
Stairway to Heaven over and over.
hey.
Right. I wanted to go over terms.
Bitch.
I was gonna say. So the terms that Otto presents to Rhaenyra, which I'll be honest, if Rhaenyra did not actually have a good claim and like the rightful claim, in my opinion, based off, the absolute monarchy of it all, these terms actually aren't that bad. However, it's bullshit because you're still committing treason, sir. But the terms themselves were, she gets to keep Dragonstone, and her heirs thereafter will inherit Dragonstone. That Luke they'll maintain Luke's inheritance of Driftmark. Daemon's sons, so Aegon and Viserys, which I think is very interesting that they picked those two because they're the only like legit I know of, which is weird. But for Aegon to be a squire, and Viserys will be Aegon the Elder's cupbearer. And Daemon's response, where he's like, I'd rather feed my sons to my dragon before I ever let them. He's like, I'd rather feed my sons to dragons than carry shield or cups for your drunken usurper cunt of the king.
And the irony.
Sorry. See,
Daemon is a Scorpio, and he accidentally manifests things when he says them. Okay, Vhagar did not eat
universe
Luke.
Says yes, Dad.
Vhagar did not eat Luke, but Vhagar did a chomp chomp.
Oh yeah, he did. It's sad. But I did like the parallel too in the scene where Rhaenyra's up on Syrax, kind of like in episode 2, except rather than this time coming to help Otto making peace with Daemon, she's on Daemon's side.
Can I be the naysayer?
Sure.
I didn't like that.
You didn't.
No, I was just like, ugh, again.
I know,
because
that
this
was
whole
my
scene
thought,
was
I
just
like,
a repeat.
You're really fond of that move.
Right. This whole scene was a repeat, and there wasn't like, if you're gonna repeat, juxtaposed. And they, maybe I'm missing out on some of that, but okay, I suppose there was a bit of contrast. This time
it felt clumsy though.
Yeah. This particular time, instead of instead of Rhaenyra standing up to Daemon was right behind her. He had her back, rather than Rhaenyra coming in just to keep the peace and keeping people from spilling each other's blood.
I kind of wish you just let Daemon do it, but I see what you mean in that regard. I just thought, I was like, oh, parallel. I get where you guys are going. That's cute. But I do think that would have been a fire. But in this scene, Otto decides to be like, give Rhaenyra, the page that she ripped out of from the pilot with Alicent, that Alicent kept this whole time. A question for you two,
guys.
Do you think Alicent slept with this like under her pillow every night?
Yes.
I swear she did. She had
'Cause
to. Like,
they're
why do you have it?
lesbian. Okay. Um, how do you guys feel about the theory that that was Alicent's way of, in a coded way, telling her run?
I did see that a tweet about that on a tweet about that on Twitter, obviously.
I
It's
saw
tweet.
I saw one of them Twitter tweets.
Some of them Twitter posts on the tweets. But yeah, no, seriously. I kind of like that idea in the sense of Allison probably doesn't fully trust Otto and thinks like, say Rhaenyra did agree to that, and say they did take Aegon and Viserys back to King's Landing. Who's to say that Otto of them little boys?
So Rhaenys did say, because she went to be like, your dad's dead, your brother's king, bye. But before she turned to leave, the only reason that she stayed was because Rhaenyra went into labor, and Rhaenys is not a monster, so she stayed behind to make sure everything was okay. She did tell her, like, you need to leave Dragonstone, you need to run.
Yeah, she did. You are absolutely right. I forgot about that. I could see that. I think it also is just coincidental. It would be that one page. The lesbian of it all. Allison is definitely like a repressed lesbian, and I feel like that's just really obvious as this goes on.
Well,
But
I mean, let's be honest. 100% straight women are very rare.
yeah,
And even
Otto,
then, what do you know what Mandy calls straight women?
Oh my God, shut up.
Can I
This is
say
because
it?
I told people you burp? Really? This is how you get me back?
Can I say it, please? Okay, never mind. Can I please say it?
Go for it.
She calls them spaghetti noodles. Straight till you get them wet.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
all done.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I mean, Otto does refer to Rhaenyra as her, refers as Rhaenyra to Allison, like, your little friend. So it's
Allison
like,
just a spaghetti noodle.
she really is. She just seems, oh my God, poor Allison. Poor girl.
Okay. Whew, all right.
So this happens. Rhaenyra does the pin throw. She's like, you know what? You're a traitor. Get out my fucking face. Throws the pin. Damon, like, just let me do it right now. Just let me kill him right now. Like, he literally just confessed to treason. Let me kill him right now. But Rhaenyra's like, no, I'm not gonna kill him. Just let him go back. He's not like a messenger. I guess she's how Damon treats messengers. But like,
She was thinking about it.
she was thinking about it, but she did show a lot of restraint.
She did.
A lot of restraint.
Because even Cyrax was like, let's do this shit.
Like, I'm ready. Let's do it right now.
It was like that song, let's go.
Literally, that's exactly the vibe I got from this. But
Disrespect your surroundings.
Yeah. I was talking about Daddy Yankee.
Oh my
Okay.
goodness.
All
So
right.
we get restraint was from this scene, and we get to this scene, and I again a lot of heavy topics in this episode. A trigger warning for domestic violence and stuff like that. Otto leaves. We have another little council meeting that Rhaenys again is increasingly becoming impressed with Rhaenyra, but also Rhaenys was like the last one to leave the room because she's like nosy, but I feel her because I'm also messy.
You thought that was nosy?
I thought that was like, ooh, what's going on here?
I thought it was just her being like, I get the feeling she's increasingly impressed, and we will discuss why at the end of the episode. But I feel like you know where this is going. Because I will say Rhaenyra will definitely let people know where her loyalties actually lie.
Oh,
So,
definitely.
Yeah.
So in this scene, they're meeting again after kind of going over what Otto was talking about and what they want to do. And Daemon very pointedly points out, the enemy has already declared war. What are you going to do about it? And that's when Rhaenyra is kind of like, clear the room because things are going to obviously... It's bad having somebody undermining you.
He's speaking... he's not even speaking as a husband. He's speaking as an uncle and not as... He's speaking to her as his niece and not his queen.
Yeah, it's like he's undermining her in front of her. Like,
Yeah. And I think
also, I
that's where
understand that
she
she's
was
like,
like, okay, everyone clear the
But he
room.
had
Because
a
I think she
point.
knows, yes, well, that's my point. I think she knows that he is right. However, she's been queen for like 2 days tops. She cannot have, within her first week of being a monarch, this man just openly undermining her at every turn. So it's not that she didn't want to hear out what he had to say or, say something in turn. It's just one of those things where it's like, okay, we can't have people around for this.
agreed. Especially with as you pointed out, this isn't the first time he's kind of like taking full control of the situation and kind of put her on a backseat a little bit. But all right, guys, get your capes ready. I'm about to defend Damon for a
Let
second,
me take
guys.
another swig of this beer. Hold on.
All right, guys, here it goes. I got my cape on. I'm gonna defend Damon. I just want to disclosure. I do not condone domestic violence. I don't think him choking her up was cool. And I know this is gonna be pulling at Art Stark. Everything before the word blood is horseshit, but I understood where he was coming from in his frustrations,
I
and
thought you were going to be like, it was a soft choke.
no. It's not during sex. It doesn't count. Okay. Anyway, sorry. That was inappropriate. So serious note. Capes on. All right, here we go. Buckle in, guys.
Well,
Damon defense attorneys in the building. So
anything before dinner. Okay, sorry.
All right, sorry.
Do we have a
So-
still of this, or are we just staring at this?
Oh, I
picture?
do. I do have it. I didn't put a still of him physically harming her because I
What
just
the
want to be
hell,
sensitive
Arah?
of. I want to be sensitive of other people's experiences, and I didn't want to buddy because I just personally, and it's October, it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. It's just not the. I just didn't think it was appropriate. Personally, I think this was kind of, we saw that episode. So Damon defense attorney. Here I go. Damon lost his brother that he looked up to very, very highly. He, in his mind, thinks his brother was poisoned. Whatevs. His brother's dead. He's reeling from the loss of his brother because he loved his brother. His wife just miscarried their child. Also very heartbreaking and a loss that he has to deal with. His wife's throne has been taken from her birthright that his brother that he loved bestowed upon her, and he also sees that those qualities in her was stolen from her. The man in charge and instrumental for committing this act of treason was allowed to walk out of here after openly admitting that he committed treason to with nothing happened to him. He was able to walk out without any freaking problems. And now you're sitting here talking about, well, let's kind of wait it out. We, get like into shedding blood. They started this already. War started. Get your head out of your ass and get in the freaking game. Like, this is not a joke. They already declared war, and you're acting just like your father, who was pussyfooting around stuff and who's so indecisive, and that's why you're in this position to begin with. Because my incompetent brother doesn't understand. Sometimes people got to get their feelings hurt, because guess what? That's what happens when you're in charge of a freaking kingdom. No one's going to be 100% happy. And because my stupid brother didn't listen to me and didn't at least make me or you his hand and brought that creature back after we told him not to, and you already pointed out that he used his daughter to essentially get his way and get his own blood on the throne. And again, you're letting this man walk out. No, enough is enough. Like, this is war. We need to take action, because if you don't, they're going to strike the first blow. And lo and behold, they did. So
I'm going to push back slightly.
Damon. But yeah.
The writers are surprised people like Damon. So with that said, I feel like they wrote this scene with him being in the wrong in mind. I don't condone this scene necessarily, as much as it's fun to like, and it's funny to be like, well, me personally, I'd be like, harder daddy. The part that kind of alarmed me a bit was how not surprised Rhaenyra was. So, okay, I get that his marriage to Rhea Royce is completely different than his marriage to Rhaenyra. However, the dude smashed his first wife's head in with a rock. It's not beyond the realm of possibilities that when he's a little frustrated and going through it, that he would put his hands around her throat and choke it a little. Do I think that he meant to actually like kill her or he was contemplating killing her? No, but I understand emotionally where he's coming from. I just still viewed this as him being abusive toward Rhaenyra. Maybe it is an isolated incident. There's a good chance it's an isolated incident. I didn't love it. You know, like I can joke that like, yeah, but if we're speaking on terms of like putting myself in the situation, I hate using the words applying real world standards to a fantasy series. It was wrong. It just I okay. Simultaneously, I feel like this is an isolated incident, and also I feel like it was abusive, if that makes sense.
Well,
Oh, I wholeheartedly
it
agree.
made me think of MJ's tweet where she said, "Lol, y'all shocked the dude that murdered his old wife would choke out his new wife." Like,
Right.
I get it.
Yeah, he's a
I get
violent
it.
man and he reacted violently. That's why when people are sitting there
Right.
saying, "Oh, Ryan Condo clearly hates Damon and the writers hate Damon and they should be fired because they would never do this." Damon is a violent person. He reacted violently. That is very,
Yes.
very within his character. Also, I want to re-clarify. I do not condone. I do not think him putting his hands on her was appropriate. I'm just not surprised a violent man who clearly murdered his first wife would do something like that in a moment of pure anger and frustration. Not
Right.
surprised,
And
surprised. Do I
I
think
think
okay?
I think the
No.
writers meant for it to be abusive, and it is abusive because the
Yeah.
writers are surprised that people still like Damon. And even like when Damon is first introduced, I believe it's in The Rogue Prince, when it was like a short story. Damon was a hero to some and a villain to others. And it wasn't because people viewed him in such contrast ways. It's because he did good things and he did some really awful things. So I think Damon is an abusive person. As far as him choking Rhaenyra, that could have been an isolated incident, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it was wrong and it was abusive.
Oh, it's absolutely wrong. And I just want to clarify this again for the chat. I am not condoning that shit at all. I do not think him. What I was saying is I understood his anger, where his anger was stemming from. The point he was trying to make, the actual choking of her, wholeheartedly disagree with that. Shit was uncalled for. He could have made the same exact point he made without putting his hands on her. He did not need to put his hands on her at all.
Right, like throw your
Point blank
goblet
period.
into the fucking fireplace.
Yeah,
Like, come on.
break
What
some
kind of an
shit.
emo goth boy are you?
Or
Shit.
slam the table. I don't know. Knock over some fucking candles. I don't know.
Like,
Hit something else. Not
okay. Like,
don't put your
if
hands
they
on
were
her.
gonna
But
go, like I said, I think they meant it to be abusive. If they were going a
oh, absolutely.
sexual route, it would have happened during a sex scene. You know?
Yeah. I think I agree. They were going for like to kind of hammer that in that Damon's not really the nicest of people. Again, Damon's a violent person. I wasn't shocked by the fact he did something like this because personally, if you're capable of killing your first wife who literally did nothing to you, truthfully speaking, you barely talked to her,
Yeah. Because my
then
thought was like, okay, because I'm a
eh,
huge Damon fan. I wouldn't say I stan him. I'm not going to justify everything he does, but I'm a huge Damon fan. And when he did that, I was like, see, damn it, because I can't justify this. Like, fuck you. I can't, god damn it. I can't justify this. Fuck you.
That's your
yeah,
fourth F bomb. Stop.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. I again before we move past this because again this is a very tough subject. I know who we're talking about. And I really hope we're not upsetting anybody listening to this part of conversation on this episode because this really is not a joking matter, to be honest. Domestic violence in any way, shape, or form is not cool at all
No.
None of
whatsoever.
us are condoning this. Again,
They're
Correct.
condoning it.
this is a medieval fantasy about dragon riders. We're not talking about real world morals and values here.
Yeah.
No justification for ever, ever, ever putting your hands on another person.
But
Exactly.
I don't know. I can
What
still
we're
see why, like,
discussing is the motives behind his actions and what could and can and has driven people to this point, and trying to find reasoning in hurtful actions. We're not condoning the
yes.
hurtful actions
And
themselves.
Girl Nettles pointed
Girl.
something out. I did not say it on Twitter, but I did write a Facebook status about it because I know a lot of people were upset about Rhaenyra's birthing scene and they felt like there could have been trigger warnings within the show somehow or before the show. I think that trigger warnings are great. I think that trigger warnings definitely have their place. However, this we're in episode 10 and I did not see a single thing that happened in this episode that we have not seen time and time and time again throughout the show. I'm not saying F your triggers. I'm just saying it is a Song of Ice and Fire based show. Even if you are not a book reader, you should kind of at this point know what you're about to get yourself into by now. So
Agreed.
I would just implore people, if that is something that is too triggering for you. I'm not saying this like there's something wrong with it. I'm saying it objectively to help you out. This is not the show for you because going forward without spoilers, crap's going to hit the fan and it's
Yeah,
going
and
to
Oh, yeah.
explode everywhere. So,
one
I
prevalent
mean,
fact that carries over through all of the works of George R. R. Martin is you don't have to be a good person to be a good character.
Ooh,
right.
bars. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, ooh, bars. You're right.
And the
Um,
thing, I thought it was abundantly clear. I thought it was abundantly clear that Damon was a prick, an enjoyable prick, but a prick.
yeah,
Like
and to
yeah,
I was like to say like my semi this, if you guys have been listening to Direwolf City for a while or even our Preposterous AF stuff, I've made this very clear on a lot of places. I love a good villain. I love villain characters. I like characters that are very complicated, that have really weird moral lines. So I like Damon, and I don't know why that's a surprise that other people like me like people like this to like the showrunners. Like, not everybody personally. I don't like tend to be like super like clearly like this is the good guy of the series because I just find them boring and unrelatable. Not saying like I'm a shitty ass human like these people are because I'm not that bad in my opinion. But I do like people that aren't perfect because it reminds me like, oh my gosh, they're human too. That's
yeah.
just me.
And I'm a huge Damon fan, but I will say in the books, even though like they make the Greens so much more dislikable in the books, and their cause is dislikable in the show. The
Yeah.
one thing that I have always understood Alicent's motives about, I've always understood Alicent's motives regarding Damon. Because a lot of the issues that they brought up wasn't so much like, oh, Rhaenyra is gonna be queen, but she's going to have her prince consort, which is Damon, and Damon is just too much of a loose cannon. And that was legit because he
Yeah.
is. He's a very loose cannon. He's very loyal to the people he's loyal to. But I mean, this is not surprising behavior out of Damon. Damon does a lot of great, Damon does a lot of horrible things. Yeah, I did not like this scene just because it's like, really, dude. Now I understand he's going. It's one of those things where like I can understand how the road was paved for you to get here, but you're still in the wrong.
Exactly.
Like Manda just said, Jamie threw Bran out of a window and we forgot about it 4 seasons later. Like these
Literally.
Yeah.
characters are just they're not he writes the characters in a way that is not meant to be all good or all bad with like two glaring exceptions. They're
Yeah.
supposed to be complicated so that we can talk about them like this and have discussions like this. That's the whole point.
Exactly. And speaking of characters that are good, because I think she's amazing and she's never did anything wrong, I do want to move forward a little bit. I love these two.
She
Rhaenys
started
is
out
perfect.
calling him out, and I'm like, yes, queen that never was. Yes.
This woman is perfect. Like on my list of people that did nothing wrong, sweet angels with Helena and Daeron is Rhaenys. Rhaenys is a sweet angel, and I don't care if she did nothing wrong in my eyes ever.
Because she's
Fight me. She's so
she
awesome.
loves him so much, and she is so loyal to him and the things that he wants. Her first time conversing with him in 6 years, he goes to be like, hey, pretty little lady, and she's like, you abandoned me. Like, this is a queen, like a woman with boundaries is a queen. I'm just saying, it's the first thing that she addressed, but it's one of those things where, like, Rhaenyra and Daemon need what Corlys and Rhaenys have, which is a united front, but there are certain matters you just deal with in private.
Exactly. Literally perfectly said. I would say with them, what I also thought was interesting is obviously these are two parents that are grieving. Obviously the audience, we know Laenor's alive. They don't. They just think that they lost their two children, their only children, literally back to back. And in that time where she's grieving this loss, not only that, she stumbles on, like, they see the body. She's cradling what she believes to be Laenor's body in their home. Like, that's just awful as hell, like, when you really think about it. And rather than let's grieve this loss together and mourn together, he's like, well, the only way I really know how to mourn is by throwing myself into work, if you will. And I need to go, and this is how I'm gonna heal. I said F her feelings, and that's why he comes back and is like, my bad, you were right, I was wrong. Like, it only took you 6 years later in a wound and being near death to realize that's her, whatever. I don't know. I love Rhaenys. I'm sorry, I just love her so much.
I love, like, as she was chewing him out for being gone, she's about to put a cold compress on his head.
She's like, you're a piece of poop. Here, let me change your bandage. But you're a piece of poop. And
you're a poopy head. Let me change your diaper, but poopy.
Yeah, and what I thought was really touching in the scene is that he obviously, it took years later to realize maybe she was right, and my ambition for the throne cost me my children and my brother. But Rhaenys is more or less like, we gotta essentially, she's seen Rhaenyra in action, and she decides that, know what, rather than being neutral like Corlys suggests, let's back Rhaenyra. Because she saw that Rhaenyra is capable. She knows that Rhaenyra is going to need their support, obviously. Their grandchildren by Laena, obviously she claims Luke and Jacaerys and Joff in this scene, which I thought was really touching, seeing as she kind of beforehand seemed not to really claim them or care for them at all. Obviously, we know why. They're not biologically her grandchildren. But the fact she does say, they need our protection, and that we have no choice to sit out because our family is in this war. We have no choice but to fight. It's just, whose side are we going to fight on? And she decides, let's back Rhaenyra and our family, our grandchildren. And I thought really admirable of her to finally make her, her claim to what side she was on. And they weren't going to be Switzerland.
And Corlys was really looking at how it was affecting him, which is, again, a normal response when you feel like your life is being torn to shreds. And Rhaenys just kind of reminded him, like, it was us. We lost everything. And it was this moment where she really, like, yeah, you've got your own thing and I've got my own thing, but, like, we're us. We're a unit. We're a team. So whatever is happening to one of us is happening to both of us. And I consider that, and I need you to consider that too. And he just was like, oh, yeah, I kind of do, huh? It was a nice moment. It was a very real moment that felt very genuine and authentic to what anybody can go through with their partner.
Yeah.
And it was just very, very real, and I loved it.
Can I interject really quick just
Mm-hmm.
because we're live? Just to our moderators, I want y'all to be very mindful of why you are timing people out. If you're timing people out, I don't want it to be just because a commenter is upset with us and vehemently disagrees with us, as long as they aren't using hateful language. It is what it is. I think commenters and people in the chat are very much in their rights to say that they disagree and something we said upsets them, as long as it's not hateful, abusive language. So just be mindful about why you might be timing people out. Because I do want to make space even for the people that are upset with us and disagree, as long as it's within a certain framework. That's
Like
all.
you guys, those wrenches, with great power must come great responsibility. Sorry, Uncle Ben. And you said it so nicely. I ruined the moment. So move forward a little bit. There, Corlys is back in court. Woohoo! Yay! Well, the Black Court, and they officially make their declaration for Rhaenyra. And I pointed out earlier, this is when Rhaenys says she is going to patrol the Gullet. Corlys confirms, which I thought was very cool to kind of call back from episodes prior, that the stepstones and narrow sea are now under control. They set up fortifications on the stepstones, which, if you guys recall, I'm forgetting the episode number. I think it might have been episode 6 when Alicent, Rhaenyra, and the Viserys and the other council members were discussing what's going on in the stepstones and how Alicent's like, oh, well, Daemon let them just, fall by the wayside because he didn't defend them. And Rhaenyra's kind of like, we should have done that as a whole. But Corlys learned from that mistake, retook control, and with them controlling the Narrow Sea and controlling trade routes, that means for King's Landing, they depend on trade. They don't really have fields to grow their own crops in King's Landing. So any of that food that they get imported, they'll be able to block that out, to start starving them. Any valuables like imports, exports, that's gone. And trade brings in a lot of money. So
Okay, so
that's going to be a big move in the future.
Help remind me. So the crown lands prior to the conquest were made up of parts of the Stormlands and the Riverlands?
Actually, yeah, because it's kind of like right in between the two.
Okay.
And yes, so just bear that in mind in the future. But we kind of essentially get the game plan of who's going where. Missions are being handed out. Rhaenys is taking the Gullet. He's gonna hold down the Narrow Sea. We got the boys.
Hold on. I want to address the mods. I only saw so much of what happened. I am not mad at you guys. I am not mad at you guys at all. Like I said, I only saw so much of what happened. I just want to make sure that this is a space for everybody to say what they have to say. Like I said, within a certain framework. Okay, continue.
Yeah. So missions are being handed out. Rhaenys gets the Gullet. The boys are going off to Winterfell and the Vale. And by the boys, I mean just Sarys, aka Jace, is going to go to Winterfell and the Vale. Luke and Co are going to be going by Luke and Co. I'm sorry, just Luke is going to be going to the Stormlands. Daemon's going to be going to the Riverlands. Rhaenyra is going to stay on Dragonstone, and they're going to take it from there. I did, before we get into kind of what happens after this, which is the end of the episode, quick little thank you to Fernando for another super chat. I viewed this as them wanting to honor Laenor's memory by fighting for his sons. Sad that if he's alive, he doesn't know his son has been killed. Oh, that's speaking of House Velaryon declaring for Rhaenyra and defending Jace, Joff, and Luke Velaryon.
That's the way I viewed it too. I think that Laenor knew they weren't his sons, but he claimed them as his sons. So he loved those boys. He said so quite a few times when he was around in the series. So I think at this point, Rhaenys and Corlys are. I mean, Corlys said a few episodes ago, like if we don't throw our weight behind these boys, it would like. I'm paraphrasing for what he meant, but I interpreted that as like, okay, no, they're not of our blood, but they're going to die if we don't claim them.
Yeah. Essentially, literally, that's pretty much how it's gonna go. Sad face. So after with this painted table scene, we get Rhaenyra having her son swear an oath that they'll only be messengers. They will not partake in any fights. It looked like Jace for a second was a little hesitant to swear, or is that just me?
Yes, I felt so too.
No,
Okay.
It makes me wonder how much they're going to expand upon what happens when he's in Winterfell.
right.
Do you need it?
Because he was definitely very like Arah said, he was hesitant. He was like,
I think too, because he's ready to go.
but I
yeah.
want to mess shit up.
Jace is like, I want to fight. Let me fight, mama.
With his stance. I love the tweets that I saw that just composed. Like it was just a compilation of pictures of him doing that like hunched back pose when he's ready to fight. And they're like, why does he stand like that?
Oh, the way he stands, it's super funny.
When he punched Aemon in the head, and Aemon's head didn't even jerk to the side. And he's just sitting there standing like Quasimodo, ready to go.
He
Okay.
looks so cute.
Moving
It's
on.
funny. I just realized, because we already talked about it earlier, my bad on this. So I was like, oh, let's address this before we get into the Storm's End of it all. I forgot to pull up a picture of Vermithor and David. So we kind
Now
of
the whole stream is ruined.
I'm sorry, guys. I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier at the beginning of this. Did anybody have any additional Vermithor and Damon thoughts before we get to the Storm's End of it all?
I think we covered it. I know that there are a few other content creators that break down what he's saying in Valyrian and what they think that means going forward. Yeah.
I saw some people in chat talking about, I believe it was David's video, that it was like a kind of spell that he was singing.
Yeah, a few people are saying that LML has a so David LML has a great breakdown of that.
LML.
I know we're like David, but for the people that don't know that, that is LML.
Yeah, so if you're interested in that theory, go watch the video because it sounds fascinating.
Yeah, if somebody
and
can link
he's
that.
he's singing too Vermithor in High Valyrian, like Arah said, they're like breaking down what he's saying word for word. So it would be interesting to like if it was
does
a
sound like a
spell,
spell. Yeah.
and
It
he's
does.
like, hey, remember who you are. I don't know. It would be cool. He's like encouraging Vermithor to take another rider and like go to war with them. That's kind of cool. I would really like that if that was true.
I like that as well. I'll say if you guys weren't here at the very beginning of the episode, we had a super chat that asked us about Vermithor, and we kind of did a lot of diving in at that part. Guys, we're here. So they fly off, and we go to Storm's End.
Okay, I could not. I
illiterate
couldn't even.
bastard.
I literally could not with that popped collar on that freaking on that jacket. It was
so
too much. It was too much. It was too
so
much. It was too much. I was expecting him. Remember the 2005, 2004 rendition of Phantom of the Opera when he used to always like it's very Tuxedo Mask when he's like, my job here is done. I was expecting him to just like flip the cape as he walked. That was the one way they did Aemon wrong this entire season.
We finally got our sapphire though.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it because I didn't think we were gonna get it. Okay. For casual viewers, for casual viewers, we should break that down because there might be some symbolism there. There, like some symbolism for things to come, like, and some parallels. But Aemond is not a White Walker, and Aemond is not connected to the White Walkers that I know of. But I'm not going to deny symbolism and parallels. But in the books, Aemond does not have an eye patch, not that I'm aware of. He replaces his missing eye with a sapphire. So that's what you're looking at right there. And it was so good to see it included. And I hope that they take the patch off going forward because this is such a metal look.
I just want to bring this up. Very, very many moons ago in our previous streams, I remember saying, you guys think we're going to get the sapphire? I think we all were kind of like, oh, it might be too campy. They might not do it. It might be goofy. When that eye patch came off, guys, I lost my mind that we got
And
the
he's
sapphire.
like, you owe me an eye. And I was like, oh.
I'm going to bring it to my mother. I was like, oh my God, I love it.
I've said this so many times on Twitter. I don't know how many times I've said it. I can never, ever understate through the years how much I have loathed Aemon Targaryen more than any other Targaryen. Least favorite Targaryen by far. But this show, without retconning, without being inconsistent to the books, has made me deeply enjoy Aemond.
What I think is hilarious is we actually have evidence of this. There are past streams where Alisha has gone on and on about how much she hates Aemond, and I've been sitting the only person like, I kind of like him. Everybody said, "Oh, see, welcome, join the dark side. Welcome to the dark side."
I don't think we have any textual evidence connecting him to the White Walkers or the others, but there is a theme of sapphire eyes connected to the Whites and the others, and he kind of did disappear somewhere.
We'll talk about it at the end of the stream.
I know, sorry, I said that without thinking, but it is relevant.
Our little machine gun Kelly.
Quick question for you guys. So before I pull up this comment that Carrie made, that I think is absolutely hilarious. Do you think he was like, ooh, I'm gonna pull a Simeon Star Eyes and get like a sapphire? Like I kind of feel like he read that in a book and was like, ooh, actually, I'm gonna do that. I can afford it.
I think he was at Tarth. I think he was at Tarth and he was like, this'll do, yeah.
Look like a badass now, yeah?
Yeah.
Mom, what do you think? Can I have it?
I'm glad you brought up moms, because this brings up Kiri's comment. It's funny how Aemon has Norman Bates vibes when his mom dated Norman Bates in Bates Motel.
I said that. I love that she said that. Great minds. I love that she said that because I do, like, I don't think they'll ever make it creepy, but I do get the feeling that Aemond is her favorite child.
Yeah.
So maybe Helena as well. I don't know. I just know she does not like Aegon. And Daron, he's there. He's just there.
Is he? Oh, well. But yeah, no, he definitely, when he's like, I want to take the eye from my mom. And I just want to bring up a good point here.
Mommy.
What happened to, well, I think an eye for a dragon is a good trade-off. Really, bro? Because,
okay, but realistically, listen, he was 10 years old and he just went through a very traumatic experience and he was trying to calm his mother the fuck down. He could read the room. I'm not going to fault that little boy for saying that and then turning around and wanting that boy's eye. I'm not going to fault him.
I mean, oh my God, he still did it for her, because at the time he's like, I'm just gonna calm my mom down, but now he's like, I'm gonna give your eye to my mommy. Like, it's like when a cat picks up like a dead rat or a dead bird and gives it to you as a present.
What do you? Because he was like, she did say she wanted the eye, but no, I do think more than anything, he was trying to terrify Luke and be like, yeah, that's what I thought. But as we all know, it's like I tweeted, Aemond is that typical uncle that takes things way too damn far until it's accidentally an emergency.
It reminds me of that video where the guy is sitting next to his brother and his brother's new baby is looking at him. He's like, "Get your boy, man. Why is he staring at me?"
Right.
Dan, get your
That's
boy.
who Aemond reminds me of. He's
I love
just
that clip.
he's so extra.
And the thing is, like, I get it. Luke is 14, but at the same time, like, that is, like I said, middle school. I work in behavior intervention. I've got a pretty good idea of what kids still need to be taught and coached out of, and what kids should know better about at Luke's
Right.
age. He should have known better than to laugh about the whole pig thing. Like, we're at a point that Luke should have apologized before he ever brought up old jokes, especially jokes that weren't funny to Aemond at the time.
I can't say I can't fault him because I'm a grown ass 30-year-old woman and I chuckled right before he chuckled. I was like, and he's like, 2 seconds later, I was like, oh, we share a brain. I wouldn't have been able to hold it. I would not have been able to hold it. I couldn't hold it as an adult. I couldn't imagine being 14.
I just feel like it was just not. It was too soon.
Was it though? 6 years.
Okay, but they had been separated that whole time.
Yeah, but it's 6 years.
Like, you hadn't even apologized. You hadn't even talked that out. Like, it'd be one thing if he apologized, they talked it out, whatever. They had spent more than an hour with each other at any given point. And then Luke went to laugh about the pig. But I don't blame Aemond. Oh my God, that word
No,
came out.
the trauma
That
from
sentence
bullying
came out of
doesn't
my
have
mouth.
a time frame.
Right. He
trauma
got
from
his
bullying
eye
does not have a
slashed
time frame.
out. He got his eye slashed out. That is traumatizing.
And he's supposed to just be like, no, it's fine. This is the thing that you teased me about when I was a child and couldn't defend myself. And then my eye got cut out. Now let's just laugh about it. I haven't seen you since, but let's just laugh about it. No, he's hurt. He's upset. He's angry.
Yeah,
My
he's
son
angry.
Darius, you're right. Aemond does have the ultimate resting bitch face.
Yeah, he does. Oh, I wanted to bring up actually with this scene too. So essentially with this fucking face.
That is a good look though. Very elegant in a sinister way.
I love it. So Sir, I don't know how to read, who does look like he could be related to Mark Addy.
He does. His high-pitched voice too. This is my hall and you shall not fight in it. Read this message for my illiterate ass. Okay.
Loved that. But this kind of calls back from the last episode when Thailand Lander says, brings up about Boros having 4 daughters that are unwed. And they don't say why that's an advantage. We brought it up in that coverage that Aemond is also unbetrothed. So that him being, eligible bachelor is very, very, very
all 4
valuable.
of them are unwed. Do you think they have hairy toes?
I don't know. I mean, they didn't look like ugly, and they're daughters of a great house. So it's kind of surprised that they're not betrothed at this point. But I guess it ends up being, I believe her name's Floria or Florian. Oh my gosh, I wish it's the daughter with the name with the F that Aemond apparently is betrothed to according to the website. Daughter. I mean, it's not really going to be spoiler. It's not really going to be relevant who he's betrothed to, honestly.
In the books, she emasculates Aemond until he goes after Luke when Luke leaves the hall. She says something like, "I know he took your eye, but I didn't realize he took your balls."
Yeah, and what I thought was interesting too, since they kind of cut that here, but when he does try to ask for his eye out, Boros says, you guys need to escort Luke out of here. Like, he needs to be escorted off, like, get him out. Because he kind of had an idea what the heck was about to happen. He's like, he gotta go. You're not doing that in my house, which I very respect. Like, that's highly respectable. But also, Luke's bold as hell. If I saw Vhagar outside, I'm not going in there. No. I'm sorry, Mom. They weren't home. They were away. They had me leave the voice, like a voice.
I didn't know the password. I didn't solve the riddle.
I got lost. I think the castle moved. Like, it's like the neck. It's like, I don't know where it is. I don't know.
He could have gone home and been like, Vhagar was there.
Yeah, I would have.
Can I go back later, Mom?
I'm like, Mom, maybe we can go together because I'm not going there by myself. I don't know. I'm not as brave as little Luke. I would have asked immediately back home. The minute I landed my dragon and nobody was surprised and I see big bitch Vhagar outside, I'm going back home, bro. I'm going home. I'm not staying there.
Can we talk about how Vhagar is like the Medea of all the dragons?
She really is my poor senile granny dragon. I love her.
Oh, Hannah. Okay. All right.
So let's get into the dogfight. So they walk out. This shot,
Yes. It was very,
everything.
I hate the dude, but it was very H.P. Lovecraft. I
Yeah,
feel like
it's-
George was in the room during this concept art board thing.
Look at the size of Vhagar. My God, what a big girl.
And even then, it's still like not quite in proportion because Arax is closer to us. So Arax is like way tinier than like, yeah, it was
Yeah.
very ominous.
Ooh, I do want to answer this super chat before we get into this a little further. From the Typo Queen, thank you. Will you in the future talk about potential possibilities of future events in the dance that could be affected by what really happens with the Arax and Vhagar? Many questions now. We do
We
plan. We've
absolutely
kind of
will.
yeah, we absolutely will. This is not going to be the end of our House of the Dragon coverage. This show's left us with so much to still talk about, and
KB. When I saw the first shot of Vhagar, I thought, damn, is that Godzilla? 100% KB.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. But to answer the type of Queen's question, we will have a spoiler stream going into future events. We're gonna do a season review. We have a couple other things planned for you guys. So just make sure you guys are subscribed and be on the lookout for that in the future. But all right. I think it's time that we talk about one of the big topics of this episode. I feel like that's been discussed is oh man, I wish Valyrian phrase, and if Gray was here, I know she would have it pulled up. A lot of people have been talking about how it's not canon that Vhagar and Arax listen to their writers.
It's not canon.
And it's not canon. And actually, it's very plausible because dragons are not slaves. Like we have in A Song of Ice and Fire, in the fifth book, the last one that's been published, Dance of Dragons, which was also adapted in Game of Thrones. Daenerys asks Drogon after she took her first flight, "Hey, buddy, let's go back to Marine." And Drogon's like, "I'm eating some dead animals right now, Ma. Can you leave me alone? I'm not doing that right now. We're chilling here. Like, what are you talking about?" Blatantly ignores her. And Vhagar was asked multiple times by Lena to, Dracarys her. And when Vhagar eventually does do it, it wasn't on Lena's command. She just did it. So these are creatures, very intelligent creatures that can think for themselves. They have their own minds. So just because their right that they're bonded to is saying don't do this, but their emotions are giving something else and they're feeling that emotion, I don't know what to tell you. It seems very accurate. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that Aemond had a lot. I think dragons even catch on to subconscious emotions. Like
I was
there's
just gonna
not.
say that.
Yes. So I think Aemond had. No matter how he felt about Luke, it was still a very understandable oh shite moment where he absolutely was not trying to kill Luke. Even if he had zero attachment to that kid whatsoever, he understood the implications of his dragon eating that child. Even if they weren't related, that kid meant nothing to him. He understood the implications, not eating, but going nom, 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 on the child.
Well, and Damon and Aemond was just thinking, like, how am I going to get his eye now, Vhagar? What the hell are you doing? I'm supposed to give that
Right.
to my mom.
And I think that Vhagar not only sensed the animosity, but Arax attacked Vhagar. And Vagar's not going to see it as like, oh, well, my owner was just giving you shit. I guess this is the point where we back down.
Right.
Vhagar
it's okay
is a
that you
war
hit me in the
dragon.
face with dragon fire because
Yes.
my guy was just playing around.
Yes,
Yeah.
Vhagar is a war dragon at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So she and the thing is, Arax wasn't, she acted, Arax acted on their own. So, I mean, Arax was afraid, did what they did. And
Right.
it's
Because
one of
like you
those
said,
things
they're
where
both
both
feeling
writers.
their writer's emotions.
I'm gonna have to dip into the sword jar here. The RX fucked her ex, fucked her out and out. Essentially. Like, you can't just burn. Like, you think this is Vagar? You call Vagar a bitch? You think you're just gonna burn Vagar and get away with it? Like, no.
Yeah. So both writers lost control of their dragons. It's, to me, it's more understandable that Aemond would lose control of Vagar, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, because he has less of a hold on his own emotions.
I was
Arax
gonna
was
say.
feeling the fear and lashed out, and Vagar was feeling the intense anger and want of revenge, and that
Can we talk about that last little after Vagar basically started the war, the way she was just like
Oh,
like,
essentially,
you lazy bitch.
I did want to point out this comment because it's kind of alluding to what you guys were just talking about from Rick or Reek. They are also very inexperienced riders, and especially when it comes to Vagar and Aemond. Even though I guarantee Aemond was probably riding Vagar a lot, Vagar is an old hoary bitch, and she has a mind of her own.
Okay.
Oh, but this is a expression that I was looking for. Thank you, George Hutto. My Valyrian's not good. Zaldrizes buzdari ixos daur.
Oh wow,
Dragon is
you
not his middle
practice.
stage.
No, you've been practicing Valyrian. That was too perfect. My Valyrian's so bad. Don't make me sing in Valyrian. Don't make me sing. That was perfect.
Oh, thank you.
I
I
kind of have a
tried.
little female chubby now.
Oh my gosh, I was trying to channel my inner Daenerys.
Oh
with
my
that one.
gosh. Can
Oh
we
god.
talk? Okay, I've been waiting
Arnar. Okay,
forever.
stop.
I've been waiting forever to go like Vega, R&R.
Arnar.
Vega, Nar.
Nar, Vagar, nar.
Carla, where are you? Okay.
No, it's probably sleepy time for Carla in Australia
Oh,
right
that's
now.
right. She's sleeping.
Yeah. She's here in spirit.
Okay. She is.
Watching this on a replay.
Vega, Nar.
Arnar, Vagar.
obey me, yeah? Obey me, yeah?
No, serve me, Vega. Yeah.
He was like, the look on his face when this is the
So
look
he's
I
like,
have.
oh shit. That's
Exactly.
awkward.
Literally, that's the oh shit moment. And actually, no, I noticed. I don't know why I just realized this. In the Green episode, they gave Rhaenys a big dragon moment, who's Team Black. But in the Black Queen episode, they give Aemond, who's the Greens, a big dragon moment. I see what y'all did there. There. Yeah, no, he looks like I fucked
Did you
up.
see that tweet? Did you see that tweet that was like, now I know Aemond and Vagar had an awkwardly quiet ride home.
They're like, seriously, what do you do after that? It's like just mad quiet. Vagar's just driving and he's just sitting there like it's you ever see that Dave Chappelle episode with Wayne Brady?
Mm-mm.
Wait, oh my
Wait,
god.
yes. Okay.
Wayne Brady need to smack a bitch? That one?
Exactly. Yeah, that episode. When after he like shoots somebody, there's just like that awkward ride and Dave's just sitting there mad uncomfortable after Wayne Brady shot somebody.
To address
Literally
some
this.
comments, you are absolutely right. Aemond was in the wrong for pursuing Lucerys at all. We're just touching down on how he didn't actually mean for that to happen in particular. But yes, I agree. Aemond shouldn't have chased after him, but here we are. Now he knows.
That way he
Oh
wins.
yeah. I wholeheartedly agree. Like this is still, even though Aemon lost control, it's still his fault because you shouldn't have been trying to scare him like that to begin with.
Right.
Like you did this. Like these are not toys. These are
like to be
dragons.
honest, like I don't yet have children. I only have one sibling, which is my older brother. I have asked myself multiple times, not so much like, oh, would my brother take an eye? Like if my son had a dragon and my brother had a dragon and my brother was just trying to like mess with my son, how far would my brother go as that? Because my brother, like, he antagonizes people as a sense of humor. I ask myself all the time. But then again, like sometimes my brother would surprise me because he's like such a good father that doesn't like antagonize his children the way he would other people. But like I ask myself that question all the time.
No, what I just realized when you've said that about the antagonizing thing and how we always bring up Aemond loves to cosplay as Daemon. How Daemon loves to antagonize Otto. Is he like doing this to Luke because he wants to be like Daemon even more? Oh my god. Like get off his like
I think he was just
No,
honestly
I know
that's the
genuinely
closest
he's
to revenge that he thought he was gonna get.
yeah, I know. I just realized that just thinking about it, I'm like,
I think that Aemon thought that they could just garner support and Rhaenyra and her crew would back down and give them hostages.
yeah, I think that's what they thought was going to happen. Obviously, that's not the case. And we get our last shot of the episode and season. So it's completely silent. There are no words. We see Daemon receives a letter, hands it to Rhaenyra. He's looks a bit upset, and then Rhaenyra just turns around, and you can just see she's just like, "It's game time." That's what I got from
It
this. Is
is
like, it's a
very
go.
reminiscent. It's very reminiscent of Dany in season 8 after Missandei passed away. And by passed away, I mean she was murdered. But
Yes.
I mean the end result. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. If I were Dany, I would have done the exact same thing Dany did. If I went through the things she went through, I would have been Dany. But I mean, I think that it doesn't change Rhaenyra's resolve. I think that she just, and we'll talk about it in the spoilers area, I think that she's more willing to turn a blind eye to a lot of the things that Daemon has planned going forward.
Agreed. And I believe Emma is the one who said this about Rhaenyra's character not losing. Rhaenyra thought that Rhaenyra knew grief until the loss of Luke and realizes what grief actually is.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like and one thing I really disliked from Fire and Blood is how they are like, oh, Rhaenyra starts to it's kind of spoiler, like starts to lose her mind, but it's like you know what? I feel like we're at a point that should we get into like some spoilers because I feel like
You
point
just posted.
not
Oh, okay. You just posted the very last shot
still,
of the
yeah.
episode. We are almost 3 hours in. I would say we'll
Spoiler
give our
clips
10
here.
seconds of spoiler warnings and then let's do this. I mean, we don't have to be silent for those 10 seconds. This isn't like
no,
a
sorry.
memorial.
Axel was crying in the background. Sorry about
okay.
that. That's why I was like, moment of
You didn't give
silence
him
before we get
brownies,
into
did you?
spoilers.
Did you give that baby brownies?
I have to bake them, guys. I was
God
gonna bake
damn
them
it! You should have
and
given
talk
him,
to you.
man. Why can't
We're
you
gonna
do
bake them
something?
after.
Give that
He
baby
took
some
it.
brownies.
We will. He'll get these after this, guys. I promise.
The puppy stole the fish food and I was running after him. I'm here.
So spoilers, incoming spoilers. If you do not want spoilers for more than likely events that are happening in season 2 and things from Fire and Blood, this is your time to peace out. We will see you later on in some other future coverage. Just like the video, subscribe, share. All right, we're here. We're going. We're here for it. Spoilers. You here? You still here? All right, it's time. Clips unloaded. I personally, in Rhaenyra's grief and loss of her child, not only did she lose her, this is her second child she's just lost in a matter of probably like less than a week, if we're gonna be honest. Her papa, her claim, sorta. Yeah. So, when she starts to commit war crimes, I'm just gonna stand by her side. And with that being said, do you guys think B and C's early next season? Oh, blood and cheese. I guess we could say it now, huh?
Yeah, I originally was going through timelines in my head and I was thinking there's like it feels like a lot that needs to happen before Blood and Cheese, but it's really not. So I rescind my previous statement. I think maybe the Hour of the Wolf will end the season.
Season 2?
Blood and Cheese. Yeah.
The Hour of the Wolf? Or the series?
The series.
Oh, I thought you meant...
But I think... No,
sorry.
the series. I think... because we touched on that earlier too. But I think Blood and Cheese will probably happen like the first maybe 3 episodes, somewhere in there. I don't, because there's, if they focus on anything before that too much, anything after it is going to feel rushed throughout the rest of the season. So I think they'll probably get to it fairly early on. I was looking through timelines as we were talking, and there's just so much we have to get through in the next 3 seasons.
Yeah, I was
So
thinking Blood and
pacing, I think,
Cheese.
is going to be like one of the bigger obstacles.
Agreed. Sorry to cut you off. My bad. But yeah, I think Blood and Cheese, kind of like you said, I think no later than episode 2, we're getting Blood and Cheese. Like absolutely at the very, very latest. I personally think we might get it in the premiere of season 2.
Yeah, it'll be like, because House of the Dragon opened with a controversial bang for season 1.
Right.
So I can see them doing it. Or I don't know, it could be an episode 2 thing, because I think it is going to be one of those things that is going to feel like it's out of nowhere, and I think that's the effect they're probably going to go for.
Oh my gosh. I just had a I totally forgot to bring this up earlier. In that scene, during one of the painted table scenes, Daemon says, "I'm going to reach out to the guards that are still loyal to me in the City Watch."
Yep.
And then they mentioned in episode, I just thought about that, episode 9, they also mentioned there are like a few guards that are still loyal to Daemon. With that being said, with episode 9 and 10 both dropping that hint in there, yeah, I think it actually might be episode 1.
Okay. From what I understand, Blood was already kicked out of the City Watch because he was too brutal even for the City Watch. It was Massaria that employed those two. The rat catcher and the former City Watchman.
Ooh, so Daemon and Masaria's scene, season, maybe episode 1. Ooh.
Something is now, okay. I don't think that Massaria is flip-flopping per se. There's a chance that she's not going to know exactly who tried to light her house on fire, but she's probably going to take that as an indication that she might blame Otto for it, that he was like, "Oh yeah, no, I'll remember you." And then him trying to wipe her out because she knows too much. Who knows? But if Daemon reaches out to her, I can see her still helping Daemon out. Now that's just what's in the books. But I think that the City Watchman still being loyal to me is going to play out when King's Landing is seized. And I think that's going to be the end of season 2. Like after watching season 1, I do think the show's only going to be 3 seasons. This story is only going to be 3 seasons long before they move on to another Targaryen king's reign.
Oh, you mean like 3 more seasons after just season 1?
No, I think it's going to be 3 seasons long.
Only reason I'm going to tell you probably not, as George has said multiple times, it's going to be 4.
Okay, well, never mind.
But with that being said, I still think ending at the seizure of King's Landing is a smart place to end it, because kind of how my brain was. Sorry, guys, for backup noise. And I do want to get to the super chat. I do think, kind of brief timeline of where I think things are going to end at. I think season 2 ending with GrayArea getting King's Landing, her being king for 3, and then kind of ending with the fall, and then season 4 being eventually her passing, Aegon's passing, Hour of the Wolf, and ending with the crowning of Aegon 3. It's kind of where I saw it ending.
So right where Fire and Blood ends.
Yeah.
I think that I'm okay. I guess it's been because I'm rereading Fire and Blood after the seizure of King's Landing, because that's the part where it always gets a little like fuzzy for me. Yes, there's enough material, I suppose. Yes, there's enough material to go 4 seasons, because they really need to flesh these characters out more than they've been doing this last season. I think that for a first season that had to cover 20 something years, 29 years in 10 episodes, they did a phenomenal job. However, you've got 2 years, like you've got 3 seasons to cover 2 years. I want more on all these kids. Like it just felt like Alicent and Rhaenyra were the only characters fleshed out, which is fine. I'm just gonna get bored with it. I guess it's not so much like I don't feel like there's enough material to cover 3 seasons. It's the pacing in which I'm like, okay, well, what would make the most sense pacing wise for me? And the reason I said season 2 would end with the seizure of King's Landing from Rhaenyra and Daemon is because off the top of my head, that's what felt right pacing wise. Like I'm trying to think of like what else could be a big bang ending for season 2.
I see what you mean. That's kind of where my head was at, because I could just imagine like where this finale kind of ended with Rhaenyra's coronation, it ending with season 2 being her finally sitting the Iron Throne. But I did want to point out the super chat real quick from Shane52911, because I know we brought it up. Okay, I get a son for that's for very nibble and cheese, but Jaehaerys isn't Aemon's son, or is he?
So I think that I don't know if they like I think the show is hinting at Aemond and Helena having something on the side, and I would actually love that for ironic purposes. I think that in the books, it's not so much that they felt like the twins belonged to Aemond as much as they thought that Aegon called for Lucerys's death. Like that's his faction right there. So he should lose a son.
Well, and it was more than a son for a son, it was an heir for an heir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That makes sense. And say it's obviously it's not, but Aemon doesn't have children of his own anyways. So it's kind of like where you get back at them. Personally, Ryan made a very interesting comment, which I'm just gonna phrase it as interesting, where he thinks that even with the loss of Luke, there may still be some hope between Alicent and Rhaenyra in their relationship with one another. And I'll be honest, I highly disagree with Ryan on that, because if your son killed my kid, and you know Aemon sit there and say, I lost control of Vhagar, he's gonna be like, nah, I did that shit on purpose. Then yeah, no, I'm sorry, bro. No. And you just crowned your son when I'm supposed to be heir. No.
And that's like it's not grief, especially the grief that involves losing a child in any capacity. I mean, even in the capacity of a woman miscarrying a child at 6 or 7 weeks, the grief that follows that takes all logic out the window. And I'm not saying that as an attack. I'm saying that factually. It's almost like it can't be helped. For her to have a stillbirth child and then turn around and lose her 14-year-old son within a couple of days, the grief that's going through her, she's not going to take the time to ask herself objectively, so who's really at fault here? Considering the fact that Alicent is not innocent in any of this, Alicent just got done usurping her throne. Like the day after they quote unquote made up, like Alicent has a lot of wrong in this. Rhaenyra is not going to take the time to ask herself, well, how much is Alicent technically culpable for? I mean, think about like they had mad beef with each other over their sons having the last scuffle in episode 7. So yeah, Rhaenyra is going to blame Alicent for this. And I think that anyone in that situation would. Anyone in Rhaenyra's situation would, when you factor in grief.
Exactly. That's why I thought his comment, that's why I just say it's interesting, because I highly disagree with it. I really don't think there's going back after she just, everything you just said, like after all of that, how can I go back and try to be friends and make peace with you?
Right.
Like that doesn't, I'm just going to be honest, Ryan, if you're listening, it's just unrealistic. Right. This is unrealistic. I'm sorry. Literally everything Alisha just said, put all that in consideration, is unrealistic. Be like, hey, bestie or old bestie, no, maybe we can still work this out. Like,
Okay,
no.
realistically though, when I watch, and it's not one of those things where like, it's not a carbon copy of Rhaenyra and Alicent, but I had a very close friend that I have known for 16 years. And about a year and a half ago, we had a huge falling out. I just don't think she's a good person anymore. The people that we have turned into throughout the years are not conducive to one another. If I were to be perfectly honest, I actually think she's turned into a very evil human being. It's complicated because I want absolutely nothing to do with her whatsoever. But at the same time, I can't erase the years of friendship. So for me personally, and I can't speak for everybody, but for me personally, I'm never going to wish ill upon her well-being. There's always, as much as I cannot stand her and I cannot wait for karma to have its way with her, and it will. And as much as I hope for a front row seat to her karma, there's a part of me that, and she's done plenty of evil things toward me. There's a part of me that wants her to be well, just well away from me. Well away from me. So I understand the conflicting feelings of, I cannot stand you. There are days I think that I hate you. You betrayed me. I think you're evil. I hope I get a front row seat to karma biting you in the ass. But we were friends once. So both of them are going to feel conflicted no matter how much things escalate.
Definitely. They're going to feel conflicted because they have that past with each other. And obviously, they weren't the ones that were there when this happened. And we do see somebody gets their karma dealt to them at some point. Allison. No, but at the same time, I'm just, me personally, like, if my brother took out my son, no.
Oh yeah, all bets off.
I'm sorry, all bets are off, dude. It's a wrap. I don't give a shit. You apologize if you want. Send me all the cute little nostalgic little pages. And not only that,
For most people,
you committed treason
everyone
against
takes
me.
a backseat to the children. For most people.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you still put your son on the throne in my stead. And that's treason. Treason is treason, no matter which way you want to dress it up, sis. And it's like, nah. No. That's why, somebody said this before. This isn't about who's right or wrong. It's about who's your favorite war criminal at the end of the day in Dance with Dragons. So
yeah, it is one of those things where it's going to turn into, like, I was thinking about it too this morning, how I wrote a tweet where I was like, I'm 100% team black, because I started out when I first read this story, like, yeah, I'm team black. And then I got to this point where I was like, no, they're both assholes. Both sides do asshole shit. Both sides do some messed up stuff. I just think that Rhaenyra is lawfully the queen. So in a way that technically makes me team black, but Rhaenyra was the rightful queen. And then I watched this series and I was like, team black. Team black all the way. But no, Rhaenyra, and I'm interested to see how House of the Dragon is going to elaborate on it, because the way that the books are written, like I said, from a historic perception, not all things are written in a favorable light to Rhaenyra, especially as a woman. But Rhaenyra does get to a point now that, when I think about it, sorry, soft burp, IPA. When I think about it, was it Rhaenyra actually being like a willfully malicious queen, or the more children she lost, the more she kind of dissociated and she left the realm to poor stewards.
Ooh, I think you might be onto something with that.
Because when it comes down to it, a lot of went wrong with Rhaenyra's reign had nothing to do with Rhaenyra making new laws and everything to do with her letting stupid ass men steward her kingdom.
Yeah. Yeah, because these weren't those. Well, very interesting to see how the show plays it out. But a lot of those big downfall decisions weren't ones she came up with. Kind of the Viserys got in her a little bit in that regard. But before we head out for the night, because I just realized we've been going for like 3 hours. And thank you guys for being with us. I just want to last super chat before we wrap up. Thank you, Brian Autumn. Great stream. I can't wait to see Roddy and the Winter Wolves. We have come to die for the Dragon Queen.
Okay, here's my thing. If a bunch of rugged, bearded, hardened men can say, yes, this woman is our rightful ruler of this kingdom, you know Rhaenyra's claim is right. Because to me, the men of the North, those are men. Those are just... those are men.
Manly men.
Those are men. And they're like, we only recognize our queen. Sorry, I'm thinking of like metal music playing in the background. Like, we bow down to our queen.
And it's gonna be so great. And we are getting Winterfell, which is gonna be fun.
I'm so excited.
All right. With that being said, guys,
Carla
we will
shows up as we're leaving. Carla, we've
Carla,
been talking about you the
good
entire
morning. Good morning, Carla. I was just doing, I was doing my best Aemon impression that I possibly could. It's okay.
Yeah.
You can't watch it later.
Yeah. I'm glad that you came in right when we were getting ready to leave. We love you, Carla. We love all of you guys. And
I was like, where's Carla? Where's Uncle Edric?
Oh, I know. Thank you guys again for, being with us every week for this 10-week ride. I can't believe it's over for the season. I mean, not for us. We'll be back, guys. We'll be back. We got some more stuff ready for you guys. We will be doing, like Alisha said, we are going to have like a spoiler stream. So that will be coming up. We're going to do a season 1 review. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell. So when we make announcements, also, our socials are kind of dropped in the little ticker on the bottom. We'll make announcements there on when those will be coming out. But as you can hear, my little pup over here needs some mommy time. So with that being said, any final thoughts, ladies, before we head out?
I thought it was a really good season finale.
I did too. I enjoyed it. I like the setup for what's to come.
Yes. And I think that Emma Darcy, as much as I am not going to lie to you, when I first saw that Emma Darcy was set to play Rhaenyra, I was not incredibly impressed, and I didn't know how good of a job they were going to do. But I was trying to leave room for them to surprise me, and they have absolutely done nothing but blow it out of the water.
Yeah, they've been an amazing Rhaenyra.
Matt Smith too as Daemon.
I was about to say.
I completely. I remember seeing a TikTok. Using that song, "Such a Whore," and it was showing like the artwork of Daemon and how he looks like so handsome and rugged. And then it was showing stills from Doctor Who, which is probably like the goofiest role that Matt Smith has played. And it just switched to that. Da, 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 da. And I was like, yeah, no, I agree with this TikTok, but now I'm like, no, I was wrong. And I feel like an a-hole for it. Matt Smith has completely blown this. My only critique of him as Daemon is something that Matt Smith cannot help as a human being, which means it's a very petty and mundane critique, and he cannot project very deeply. And if that's my one critique, then nothing but respect for my Daemon Targaryen.
Yeah, he's low key kind of my MVP of the season, but we'll get more into that for our season one review. But it's been real, guys. Thank you for hanging out with us. Oh man, I can't believe it's over, but we will be back. We will be back at some point
With bells on. I don't know why I said that.
Sure.
I'm gonna stop.
And I'll see myself out. But thank you guys again. It's been real. Alisha, you wanna say the words that we stole from Tony?
Oh, I was like, so many words. I say a lot of stupid things. Yeah. Stay sexy.
Yep. And you guys can't see me, but I'm doing the things. I'm doing the things as
Yeah,
we
we're just gonna
exit.
keep being awkward.